Reynolds was voicing Pikachu.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Hello, everybody. That's fine.
Hello, everyone.
This is oh god.
How are you doing?
Ah,
Fine, thank you.
how is your? Oh, we should probably not do
I wish I were a bird.
that. And we're here. Hello, everyone. We had a little bit of technical issues.
It's all good, don't worry.
Microsoft decided that update time was now.
Microsoft decided to be micro hard.
Micro P.
But that just makes us Microsoft.
Makes me micro flaccid.
Micro sad.
It's it's not the saddest I've ever been. It's probably not the saddest I ever will be, but I wasn't happy about it.
Made me micro upset.
All right,
boy.
so this is fun. This is fun. I'm just doing the social media thing right now, and then we can, if you want to actually take it away, how was your week, Mr. Ryan?
Take it away, Johnny.
Take it away. Free iPad.
My week was interesting. I mean, I felt kind of inundated with school the last couple of days. Like, I spent my Monday pretty much entirely from 2 o'clock straight through to 7:30 in the evening writing a paper, which kind of sucked. But apart from that, I did kind of manage to get in some watching. So I did watch a lot of stuff. Sadly, can't say I played much beyond just more Lego superheroes, because it's like the most pick up and play game I currently am playing. So I enjoyed my time with that, but I know that once some real time rolls around, I'm going to start dedicating a lot more time to Xenoblade Chronicles. But it was a really, really good really good kind of week for watching stuff for me, because I got a lot of time on public transit to just kind of sit back and watch episodes of TV. So I, of course, as we have been following over the past couple of episodes, have been watching Titans. I guess this week, the Titans finally properly came together as a team for the first time.
Amazing. Dick stops being a dick?
No, Dick is still kind of crazy. But once again, the show is kind of, expecting the audience to challenge and kind of look at Dick's actions critically, which is nice. Yeah.
That's a sentence.
Exactly. Be critical of Dick.
Don't be too hard on Dick.
But, yeah, it's easy to see that he is going through some shit.
Mm-hmm.
So the episode kind of started out where the last one left off, where they're just kind of fucking off from the Doom Patrol's mansion, all kind of together for the first time, and this one picks up. They're staying at they're looking for and then finding and then staying in a small hotel together. So they each got a room, and they're all kind of I guess learning to work together and to learn each other's powers. And most of the episode's, I guess, story just comes from them getting some time in with one another and developing each other's relationships. So you see kind of how Raven and Beast Boy are starting to grow closer, because they kind of they're both the youngest members of the team, and they both kind of, I guess, have an affinity or similar interest for kind of what they're doing. They both feel ostracized and kind of othered and alone. So it helps that they've kind of found each other to be each other's friend. And they get along. They have very good... Ryan Potter and Tegan Croft, who play the characters, have very good chemistry.
Good.
And you just kind of see like the show starting to establish kind of how their powers work.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of get a little more insight into how Beast Boy's powers work. The only animal he's currently found himself able to turn into is a tiger.
Okay.
And...
keeping it relatively low budget again, I assume, for early episodes.
Although they explain, I guess, primarily that the reason he only turns into a tiger seems to be because he has like a great love of tigers.
Okay.
And
enough.
So it's his favorite animal, and so he turns into it because that's the only one he's ever thought to turn into.
Yeah.
But the full extent of his powers aren't really known. He can't transform in his clothes, so he has to get naked to transform. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And then he has to kind of get dressed back up again. So he doesn't have the most convenient powers at the moment. I assume his power set's going to change, or they're going to find a way to kind of make it so that he has clothes that change with him. But we're not there yet. And then I should point out that nobody to this moment in the series, with the exception of Raven and Hawk and Dove, who aren't really main cast members, are aware that Dick is Robin. They just kind of think he's a cop that's taking care of Raven.
Oh, okay.
And they don't really know what his deal is. Raven is the only one who kind of has an inkling of an idea, and it's because she knows that Dick was the one who was adopted by Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. So
but she hasn't really worked out that Bruce Wayne is
1 +
Batman.
1 equals Robin.
Exactly. I don't think she's 100% aware of what the situation is, but I think she kind of gathered from what she'd seen
Fair
who
enough.
he was. But yeah, Corey has no idea because she has no idea, and Gar has no idea either. But Gar knows who Batman is, and we'll see later on what his reaction to this is. But yeah, so they're just kind of training, and there's a sequence where they kind of find an abandoned farmhouse.
Yeah.
They kind of get into it, and they just kind of start training with their powers. So Dick
Trying
wants
to
to
get a
kind of
hold
see
of
what
their
everybody can
fucking
do. So
beasts.
Corey can absorb solar energy and turn it into heat.
Mhm.
So that's how she's Starfire. She can create fire. She kind of glows orange when she is activating her powers, and her
Yeah.
eyes glow green, which I suppose is her Tamaranian physiology.
Mhm.
But so she can shoot kind of fire from her hands, really concentrated and powerful. Gar can turn into a tiger, and then when Raven tries to show off her powers, she's initially very reluctant, of course, because it's kind of like, yo,
I don't know what
I have
this thing
no
can
idea what
do.
the fuck
Yeah.
they're doing. I don't know where my powers come from. I just know they're evil and kind of dark. So she kind of tries to show off her powers, but she has no
She
control
holds
over
back
them.
too
So
much.
yeah, she fucks up basically, and like
Okay.
her powers get a little too crazy. But she's subdued by Dick, who kind of just like calms her down with talking her down basically.
Yeah.
And it seems like they're tied to her emotions. So because she was so anxious, I think, to show her powers, it probably affected what happened.
That's a rough time when your powers are also like dictated by how you're feeling.
Exactly. She's an extreme empath and psychic with like a mental link, presumably, to her father, who is a demon from another dimension. So
It's a weird family gathering.
yeah, exactly, and a weird power set for an emotional teenager to try and be able to control.
Yeah.
And
What a time for your powers to manifest themselves.
basically, yeah. You've had no time to even have proper emotional development, and your
Yeah.
powers are tied to your emotions. That fucking sucks, man. So yeah, she kind of fucks up a little bit, and Dick kind of talks her down, and then they all kind of look at Dick and like, okay, so what the fuck is your deal? And he's like, I don't know, I can fight, I guess. Like, I got
Batman.
I got martial arts training, but the rest of the episode is kind of them screwing around at the hotel, just kind of becoming chummy with one another. Dick and Corey get some drinks together, and then they fuck.
Yeah,
Which
okay.
I mean, they're setting up, of course, the kind of their relationship that
Yeah.
they have in the comics. I mean, in the comic books, that's kind of like Dick Grayson's most, I want to say, dedicated and long time relationship with another character is with Starfire. He has off and on again relationships with a variety of other female characters in the comics, but Starfire always seemed to be the one that was the most meaningful.
Mhm.
And in certain universes, like they got married, they had a kid named Nightstar. And the funny thing about that kid is then that kid married that universe's equivalent of Damian Wayne. So Robin and Batman's kids got together, and then that made them like real family,
Mhm.
which is kind of cute symbolically,
Yeah.
I guess. But that's only one particular
Comic
universe.
book writing is still ridiculous to me.
Exactly.
It makes no sense. But
No,
it makes
that's how
so
it
much
be.
sense, but it's like, I don't know.
It
I
makes
don't know.
sense if you have like a mind for things that don't make any fucking sense.
Yeah.
If you can like justify shit only working because rules dictate it. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Dick and Starfire kind of are starting to develop a relationship with one another. Right now, it just kind of seems like it's, they're fucking because they're both horny adults.
Mhm.
And I guess, it's partially a hate fuck almost.
Yeah.
Because they're frustrated with one another because Corey, is an amnesiac and has no idea what the fuck she's doing or why she's really even there.
Mhm.
And Dick is, frustrated because he doesn't know who the fuck all these people are. And he was just trying to kind of keep a low profile and keep out of this, like, superhero life. And then, I guess the only really other notable thing that happens in the episode is the nuclear family comes back. But the one who was previously the father of the nuclear family was destroyed by Starfire in a previous episode. So they come back with a nuclear stepdad,
Oh my god.
which is really funny. So there's
nuclear stepdad.
There's a nuclear stepdad. He's like a younger kind of guy,
Mm-hmm.
and he
Robbing the cradle.
all I have to say is he's nuclear stepbrad.
Oh god.
He's nuclear Brad, but they kind of fight nuclear family again, and I guess in this fight that they have, where the nuclear family breaks into like the hotel and tries to fucking kill them.
Mm-hmm. As you do.
Exactly, as you would. Dick kind of fights them off. They are self-destructed remotely, the nuclear family,
Yeah.
and they all could just kind of explode everywhere. And Dick goes to kind of track down what the source of that
Why is this
detonation was.
happening?
Exactly. But in that fight, he reveals himself to be Robin to the rest of them finally,
Okay.
because like there's no keeping it secret.
So like, what the
Beast
fuck?
Boy is like fucking hype. He's like, Batman! Shit! Can I meet Batman? And he's like,
Dick's
no.
Dude, oh god. You're
No,
embarrassing me."
exactly. He's like, could I meet Batman? No. No, you cannot.
No.
Nope.
My relationship with Batman has ended. The Joker is my best friend.
Basically, yeah. So at the very end of this episode, Dick goes to confront the person who's been sending the nuclear family after Raven. And I guess he encounters the guy who's done it. But just as he thinks he's had him caught, the guy kind of brings a whole bunch of soldiers in. They try to fuck Dick up. And then Jason Todd, the second Robin, makes his first appearance in the series, saves Dick, and then he's just kind of like, oh, you're Dick Grayson. Finally get to meet you. I'm the new Robin. And Dick is just like, he looks like, fuck. Like his facial expression at the end of the episode is like, he did it to another kid, didn't he?
That's so funny.
Yeah. So it's like,
Oh,
he's
man.
like, fucking Bruce Wayne. Like that's kind of how it ends.
Awesome.
But it was a pretty good episode. It was
just ends on a second note of fuck Batman.
yeah, pretty much just like fuck Batman.
It's just more of despair. It's just like, oh my god,
like, fuck Batman.
dude, come
Come on.
stop taking all these orphans and making them crime fighters.
Exactly. Stop turning them to weapons. Like
Yes.
what the fuck, dude?
But who will carry on my legacy? That's the point.
Yeah,
Fuck off.
dude. What the fuck? Fuck off. Your legacy is one of like a cycle of violence. Fuck that shit.
You're a cop.
Pretty much.
Just-
Yeah, Bat Cop. Fuck that. But so that shit is what happens at the end. It was kind of like a brief episode. Not a lot of development in terms of like the story occurred.
Yeah, just
But
a lot of
of
setup.
character development was present. So that was good. It was like the first real, I want to say, properly quiet and contemplative episode of the series where you kind of see the characters start to take kind of a shine to one another because they are finally in a situation where they're not constantly on the run
Yeah.
from each other or from somebody else. So there's just a big quiet period in the story where they can settle in, learn who each other are as a team, and kind of properly first come together as a team, which is what happens in that fight with the nuclear family.
Get to see that.
Exactly. So that was
fucking
really good.
teamwork.
I watched a couple of other things too. I haven't finished Castlevania Season 2 yet. I've
Dumb
paused it
fuck, it's too late now.
because I started watching She-Ra,
Oh, yeah.
which just started. So, of course, She-Ra and the Princesses of Power is a remake, I guess, or reimagining of the original She-Ra series, which was like the female-centric spin-off of He-Man.
Yeah.
And even starred his sister Adora. But the premise of She-Ra is interesting. I mean, the entire premise of this reboot is interesting because it's kind of like the second, I want to say, in the line of like Netflix's DreamWorks animated stuff that's directly rebooting a previous property.
So it's on Netflix?
So it's a Netflix exclusive
Alright.
series.
I did not know
And
that.
yeah, this particular remake of the show is produced by DreamWorks. It's kind of got a similar aesthetic to Voltron, the Legendary Defender.
Yeah.
But it's a little rounder, a little softer. And the history of this particular remake, or what I find most interesting about it, is that it's being showrun by a very well-respected comics artist,
Mhm.
Noelle Stevenson. She's
Mhm.
a comics writer, I should say, and artist, who's written like a comic called Nimona that won like a National Book Award. She co-created Lumberjanes, which is a very popular non-superhero comic series from Boom Comics.
Yeah.
and she's written just a whole whack of very well-regarded work. So this is her first foray, I want to say, into properly show running a television series. She had previously written some episodes for, I believe, Wander Over Yonder and a couple of other cartoons. But this is her first like real thing that she's completely in creative control of. And it's really interesting. I mean, it's a science fantasy series. It's set on a planet called Etheria, which is being besieged by an alien armada called the Horde. The evil horde. Yeah. And the evil horde is kind of this all-encompassing universal fascist power that goes to places and absorbs their their people and their culture and then turns them into soldiers and just kind of moves on to the next planet. It's like constantly building a huge fascist army.
That's not a metaphor.
No, exactly. Totally not. And the main character, Adora, is one of the Horde's soldiers who, while on the planet that they're on, Etheria, which is the planet they're occupying, decides to kind of go out for just kind of a little exploration run.
Yeah.
And gets caught up in kind of the reality of what is going on. Because she's a member of the Horde, she doesn't properly... And because the Horde is all she's ever known, she was seemingly taken in as an orphan by Lord Hordak, who's the leader of the Horde. And so the only thing she has ever known in her life is the Horde.
Yeah.
And her friend Katra, who are both Horde soldiers, kind of go out to just kind of explore and get caught up in the reality of the conflict of what's going on. The occupying force is fighting the natives of Etheria, who are, I think, a race called the Princesses. And the Princesses are, I guess they're kind of a band of, I don't know what to say. It's kind of unclear because I've only watched the first episode. It kind of seems like it's both the name of like a culture or ethnicity of people, or like a maybe a social class or something.
Yeah.
But they're ruled by like a princess, but there's multiple princesses. I'm not quite sure how it works yet. I'm gonna have to get further in.
Okay.
But needless to say, she finds a sword, and the sword kind of speaks to her when she first finds it.
Yeah. Magic swords.
And she doesn't really understand what's going on, but she finds it again afterwards because it keeps calling to her. She has dreams of it. She goes to retrieve the sword, and it transforms her into Shira, telling her that she is going to be the protector of Etheria.
You are the chosen one.
Here is exactly. Like this is your magic sword. You are the one who is destined to protect Etheria from the Horde and to fight the Horde. But of course, she's like completely doesn't understand what's going on. So far, the major characters of the show are Shadow Weaver, who's kind of the person in the Horde who kind of looks after the individual soldiers, because Hordak is busy being a big fascist asshole and doesn't have time for the little people in his army. And there's, of course, Adora, who's the main character. Katra, who's her best friend, but also one of the Horde soldiers. So this conflict puts them at odds with one another.
A little,
and from what I understand, Katra is like one of the primary antagonists of the original She-Ra show. Okay. So this is kind of giving, I want to say, more weight to the relationship and understanding why they're at odds with one another, because I guess they've both been raised together as like sisters at arms, basically, and this entire scenario has placed them at opposite ends of a war, which is really interesting. I like that kind of storytelling. And there's like a lot of, implied romantic chemistry between the two of them, so you can see how that might, if they're going to make good on that, which I would suspect they would, because, Noelle Stevenson herself is gay.
Yeah.
And the show has like a very, for lack of a better word, a very queer aesthetic to it.
Yeah.
So
I
don't think there's any. She-Ra just as a concept is very queer.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's going to be any surprise if the show ends up making good on kind of the near romantic chemistry a lot of these characters share with one another. The other primary characters so far are Glimmer, who is the daughter of the leader of the princesses. She's got a cute design. She can teleport. And there's Bo, who is her male companion, who is an archer, and he's kind of got a cool design too. Diverse in terms of just the kind of cast that's present, because we have, the main character is, a white-coated girl.
Yeah.
And then we have both Glimmer and Bo, who are kind of people of color. Like
Yeah.
they're at least in the terms of how they're in. And Glimmer is not like a traditional kind of, sexualized or kind of any sort of idealized female body.
Yeah.
She's just kind of,
She dare.
she's she's bigger, which is nice. And man, it's
Got
so
that
hard
body
to say that, and
representation.
it's so hard to kind of work your way around the nomenclature because so many of
Yeah.
the words we have to talk about people who are just a little bigger are really negative.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to imply that she's like, ooh, she's a fatso or anything. She's not. She's a realistically proportioned individual, which is nice. As is Shira. Shira herself is not.
Yeah, the design.
It's not a Barbie body the way the original Shira doll was. The original
exactly.
Shira is a doll,
Mhm.
and it is ostensibly what if Barbie with a sword.
Yeah.
That's kind of what the doll looks like. And this new Shira
Whereas
does
this
not look like
design
that.
is
She
much
looks like a
more-
realistically proportioned girl.
Yeah.
And one who is sufficiently muscular enough to be a soldier in an army, which
Yeah.
makes sense. So she looks like she can wield that sword.
Look at that arm. We're looking.
Yeah, she's
at,
got arms, actually.
She's got
Yeah.
beefy arms.
She's got better arms than me.
Yeah, me too.
She can kick both of our asses.
Please do.
Yeah, also, please do. But good design, and Katra, who's a furry.
Ugh.
So there's kind of there's a tasteful diversity to kind of the production design of the series.
Yeah.
And I mean, the background art is very, very gorgeous. The
I mean, the whole
wanna say
aesthetic
just
looks really good.
The
color
environments look
palettes.
kind of like the fantastical kind of 80s,
Yeah.
near Lisa Frank kind of intergalactic aesthetic, right?
Yeah.
So it works very well just for the aesthetic of the series in its entirety. But so far, just based on the first episode alone, I stan. Really, really fun show. I mean, it's humorous.
I'm gonna have to check it out. I didn't think it was on Netflix.
Yeah,
I remember
it's Netflix
when
exclusive.
it was first announced, the whole debacle that.
Oh yeah,
fucking
there
followed.
there
But,
is
like,
a
anyway.
quote unquote controversy surrounding Shira's design,
So
which is really
dumb.
just a bunch of people kind of getting in on it because they want the
Why aren't they
show for
remaking
yeah.
He-Man?
Why they remake Shira for girls and not for me?
Me
Or
want
why they
the
why they make
Remake
Shira
the thing I like.
Exactly. Why isn't Shira sexualized? And I'm like, maybe because the show is targeted towards like 8 to 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
It's
And
like, I
also,
don't know.
I mean-
maybe it's not necessary to sexualize a character in a children's show. You perverts.
How old is Shira supposed to be?
I'd gather 16 or 17
Yeah,
years
see,
old.
don't do that.
She's a kid.
Yeah.
Like, she's not
Yeah, that's some gay fucking shit right there.
Yeah, it's so far the show has been very gay and very nice.
That's good.
And I think Noelle has done a very good job. It's reminiscent of some of her best work that I've read, and I'm just a huge fan of her stuff. So hopefully it continues to be as enjoyable as it was. But first episode so far is, by all accounts, really, really a fun kind of thing to enjoy. And I liked it a lot. I'm hoping that the rest of it's going to be as good. And I think that's kind of what I did this week. I watched She-Ra and I watched Titans.
Fair enough.
How about you?
I thought I did a bunch of shit this week, but actually just a bunch of shit happened.
Yeah. It feels, I mean, we're only 3 days into the week, and it kind of feels like
Well, I mean,
a whole bunch of
it's
shit
like
has
a
occurred.
a week from the last podcast.
Yeah.
So, what I did was we dropped FMA for now.
Mhm.
I feel like picking it back up at some point, but for the moment, it's just kind of like,
Yeah, that's
we'll get
fair.
to it. We'll get to it.
Because it's not Brotherhood.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we'll probably start watching Brotherhood, but I do want to get through FMA first.
Of course. Brotherhood will feel so much better if you do.
Yeah.
I honestly do
Well,
think
yeah,
that.
especially after you telling me that. I was like, maybe I should just skip to Brotherhood, and I was like, nah.
No.
Watch the not good one first.
There's valid reasons to watch 03. I think it's really nicely animated, actually. I mean, it's Studio Bones, and
Yeah.
Bones at the time, I mean, still to this day, Bones are making great stuff. Look at My Hero Academia, which
Killing
floors me every week when it was on with just some really impressive animation. And most
got
of their
that
stuff
budget.
does. I mean, my favorite anime of all time, Eureka 7, is like a Bones joint, and it's a completely original series from them, and it's full of fantastic animation. So Bones do really, really good work.
Yeah,
but you've dropped it as
But
of
yeah,
now.
we dropped it for now. Picked up ATOT, Attack on Titans.
Okay.
I tried like 4 different times to start Attack on Titan, and just because of the slow pickup,
Yeah.
I cut off always right before the episode where the thing happens with Aaron,
Okay.
and you go, "Oh fuck, all right, I'm in." So we got
And it
to
becomes
that
the
point.
Flesh Mecha series.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh fuck, all right, I'm in." And like, now I want to know, like,
Mhm.
I want to know what's going on there. So we're pretty much there. We just got to the episode where it was like, "Oh, move that boulder over there."
Okay.
So we're still pretty early in, but I'm officially, for now, hooked.
Okay, that's good. So you're in it now.
Yeah, I'm in it now.
All right.
Might still fall off, but we'll see.
I can't wait to see what your feelings on kind of the later developments of the story are, because they're controversial amongst people.
Oh, well, that's the
Yeah.
thing too. Because
It's a really
I've
controversial series.
I've
a lot of
heard
it is very
about it,
controversial.
and I've heard people be like, "It's the best. I fucking love it." And then I've heard people be like, "It gets."
Yeah.
It
I think
gets-
that because you're watching it all as of now, and there's like 3 seasons for you to kind of enjoy.
Yeah.
The experience is obviously going to be different from the people who like watched season 1 and then waited like 4 years for season 2 to come out. But at the same time, like, I didn't watch season 1 when it came out because I had kind of read a bit of the manga and I didn't really enjoy it, especially because the art of the manga is very ugly and kind of not easy to get into.
Yeah.
It's a perpetually kind of bad looking manga. It has really bad, like, I don't know, it's bad panel work, like
Yeah.
bad panel arrangement. It's not a very well designed or
Shading,
laid out manga.
coloring's
The
not
layout is
great.
bad.
Yeah.
It's not a very good series, but in terms of at least art wise,
It
But-
happens.
I didn't pick it up. So I'm kind of had a similar experience to you, where I was just kind of able to power through. But after some of the stuff in like the later show, I just kind of decided I wasn't really into it anymore.
Fair
But,
enough.
I want to see what your experience is going to be with
Yeah.
it, because it is very controversial. Some of the decisions people are in love with, and some of the decisions people are not. Like, I really do like the change in status quo that comes with Eren gaining the ability to turn into a Titan.
Yeah.
And I like the kind of opportunities it has for great kind of combat situations.
Exactly. Well, that's
Yeah.
the thing that got me hooked, because, like I said, I tried multiple times. Got like maybe 3 or 4. I don't remember the exact episode that the first shit goes down.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember just like getting 3 or 4 in and being like, "This is long and uninteresting."
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
it picked up while I was watching it with the missus. So we're doing that now. It's been a pretty steady, like 1 or 2 episodes a night before bed.
Okay, that's good.
That's
That's a good pace to get into, especially for that show, because it's one that you can easily binge.
Yeah.
And I don't actually recommend binging it,
Okay.
because it's a lot of those early episodes especially are all kind of organized around a big kind of like gut-wrenching set piece.
Yeah.
And like a big emotional set piece too. So it's, I don't know, not necessarily something that I think is entirely good to binge.
Okay.
Because it's a lot to take in,
Well,
and you
that's the
don't
thing,
fully
too,
appreciate
like-
what's being communicated
Exactly.
to you.
Like, the reason I'm trying to keep it to 1 to 2 episodes too is because, like, it's a show I find that you need to, like, you watch the 1 or 2 episodes.
You drink it in.
You take it in, and then you fucking think about it
Yeah.
for, like, a night. And you're like,
Yeah.
like last night just before bed, like, or was the night, I don't remember if it was last night or the night before. I'm lost in my weeks. But, like, I just remember, like, laying there and thinking of, like, all right, but, like, well, what does this mean, and how is this gonna work? And,
Yeah.
like, why is it working like this, and what the fuck is in the motherfucking basement?
Yeah.
And, like, just head turning gears all the time.
There's a whole bunch of shit like that throughout the series,
Yeah.
where it asks you to kind of contemplate a lot of the greater context that's going on surrounding just
Yeah.
the already very visible conflict of the series. It's an interesting series, though. It's definitely there's not too much like it amongst its contemporaries,
Well,
which is why I think it became so popular.
Yeah, exactly.
There's really, like, I hate the idea that something becomes popular because it's basic. You know,
Yeah.
there has to be an appeal to it, and the appeal of Attack on Titan, I think, is pretty clear. That it's kind of unlike most of its contemporaries.
Yeah.
Like, we make the joke, yeah, it's a Flesh mecha series. It's not really a mecha series.
No.
And it doesn't tell its story like a mecha series
Not
would.
at all. It's more
And
of a fucking, like...
And it's not a kaiju series.
No, that's it.
And it's
But
not a
it is.
shonen series.
It's all of those things
Yeah.
mashed in a blender.
Exactly. And it works. Those kind of disparate elements that shouldn't work together
Yeah, they
work together remarkably well.
It's written really well.
It is, yeah. Up to a certain point, I would say. But,
Yeah, I mean, like
where
most
you are
things.
right now, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And it's very
I
appealing.
mean, the fucking hook got me. You know,
Yes.
like that's the thing right now. There was a hook, and it grabs you.
No,
Whether
exactly.
that hook stays in, how deep it is,
that
and shit,
remains to be
exactly.
seen, exactly, and that'll come up to how you feel about later developments within the narrative. But I think as of where you are right now, you're getting the series at its best.
Yeah.
And when it's at its best, it is actually genuinely very excellent.
Yeah, and it's like actually exciting. It's like
Oh yeah.
I'm having a good time with that.
There's still more fun, kind of cool stuff to come out of it
Yeah,
before
yeah.
you get to the stuff that I kind of feel is disappointing.
Mhm.
So you have plenty to get into that's going to interest you, I think.
We will see if this brings on an agreement talk or an argument.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's there's a lot. It's one of those series that I'm greatly conflicted about because on one hand, I disagree so vehemently with some of the decisions made later on in the story, but I also think that a lot of what the series does is very impressive.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, just as a piece of animation alone, it is a triumph technically. It is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's very well animated.
It's really pretty.
It has very, very seamless integration of CG and 2D animation. It's really, really, really
Because some of
amazing.
like a lot of the time CG and anime like integration, you can just it's never really that great.
And it does a fantastic job of conveying scope. Just the sheer size of some of these titans.
I know.
Is
I mean, like
palpable. You feel that.
Just
shit.
the first couple of episodes is like, okay, big wall thing. That's fine. There's like 3 walls, but I didn't realize that they were on the outer wall, and that there's like actually put like 250 kilometers in between each, or like it goes up every time until like the like commercial break thing pops up and is like, this is how the walls are arranged. You got these super tall, super thick ones in the middle where all the rich people live and don't worry about anything.
Yeah.
And the further out you go, the poorer it is.
It's really, which is another thing that I like about the series is that I think, at least early on, once again, the world building is superb.
Yeah.
There's a lot of potential to this fictional
I'm also
world.
kind of interested in how the politics of it all develop, because
that is going to be interesting for you to see,
Yeah.
I think. Because there is a story there.
Yeah.
And I think it's intriguing.
I've heard, because what I've heard is the anime does the politics thing kind of in a... I heard people say it was a better pace. I've heard people say it was more disappointing.
I want to say it's...
I know that the manga is super slow and long.
Yeah.
With it.
It's seeded a lot more earlier than the manga.
Mhm.
Because in the manga, when it first comes up, it kind of feels like an afterthought.
Yeah.
But by the time they kind of got to that stuff in the anime, they'd made kind of a concerted effort, because they had all the manga to call back on, to start integrating stuff about the politics of that world earlier on.
Okay, yeah.
So they were seeding it in and kind of rearranging certain scenes. But I think it's the difference between what do you prefer, an info dump or a slow burn?
It depends on
I
what
think
the info is.
Exactly. I think it depends on the context and what
Yeah.
the information is in particular. But
Exactly.
it's good, though. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Yeah, me too. I'm
'Cause-
glad that I finally got past the weird intro bit, because like I said, 3 times I tried.
There's only
and
so many
just-
times you can see Aaron's mom eaten by a Jaeger.
Yeah.
Or Jaeger.
Eaten
Aaron
by-
Jaeger's mom.
Aaron Titan's Jaeger mom gets destroyed by a Pacific Rim.
NSFW.
Oh no.
Sex, boobs, titties,
Sex
penis.
boobs. Sex boobs.
There we go.
Put on your sex boobs, honey.
That's like
We're going to town.
every Pornhub like anime video ever description.
Oh god.
Sex, boobs, titties, anime, titties, hentai porn, like fucking
Hentai porn
ridiculous.
compilation. Okay.
Aaron Yeager's
That's
mom
not
gets
why I'm here.
destroyed
Yeah.
by massive Titan.
Gets eaten out by Titan.
Gets eaten up
Gross.
by Titan.
I don't want this conversation to happen anymore.
But it's an enjoyable series, I think, right at the get go. So I'm
Yeah.
glad that you're watching it. I can't wait to see kind of what you think of it
there'll be
later
more
on.
that. Next week we're probably gonna get through season 1 by then.
All right.
At the pace we've been going.
Other
than
what
that,
what of the rest of your week?
I did. I'm still playing. I'm playing Bravely Default.
Yes.
I'm still playing Bravely Default. That's been my main focus. Haven't really made that much progress because, again, like this
It's a
week I just
grindy
kinda,
game.
Yeah, I grinded mostly this week. The
Yeah.
chances that I did,
But
I
to
think
be fair,
I sunk in
the
an
game
hour.
is very easy to grind in.
Yeah,
It-
yeah. You
It's
just
one of
pump
the
that up to
the-
200%.
one of the friendliest grinding
It's-
RPGs ever.
Yeah, it's accessible.
Yeah.
But yeah, just didn't really make any progress. Just got to the old man in the woods sage.
Oh, Yoyana.
The old
Yeah. Okay.
old pervy man.
So you're not far. In.
No,
okay,
no, I'm super
cool.
not far.
I
That's
guess
it.
you just fought the ranger girl with like the. Was
no
it the ranger girl or was it the?
the thief.
Ah, yeah.
it's the
Okay. Yeah.
thief in the caves. So I did that.
Okay.
Then,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool.
So
Very cool.
yeah, I'm taking that pretty slow actually. That's pretty much all I played.
All right.
I'm still watching Zombieland Saga.
I'm enjoying
that
it.
continues to be fucking fun.
It's really fun.
It's super fun.
It's definitely of all the anime I'm watching now the stupidest.
It's so dumb,
But
it's,
that's what I love
it's
about it.
exactly. It's you turn your mind off, and it's getting to a point that's kind of interesting plot wise.
Yeah, it is. I think so.
Where are you caught up?
I'm on episode 3 of the dub.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, the sub is at 6 now, and it's getting to a point that's really cool because they're going to be playing a show soon that one of the dead girls used to be in a band with one of the other idol groups at the show.
Okay.
So like, they're for sure gonna recognize her.
That's cool.
Because she doesn't look any different because the makeup. So like, it's a really it's a fun shenanigan-y thing. And
It's the only idol series I have ever watched that I really enjoyed.
I know, me too.
Yeah,
And
it's
like,
really,
I'm
really
stupid
fun.
enjoying it.
Yeah. Or there was one that I watched that was kind of like figure skating idol series, and that was good too.
Yuri on Ice.
No, but that I love Yuri on Ice, but it wasn't
Yeah,
Yuri on Ice.
that's not even an idol.
That's
thing.
just like a sports series.
Yeah.
It was a good one though. That's just a gay sports.
But all the sports are gay. Speaking of gay sports,
Yes.
do you know of Yaomushi Pedal?
What is Yaomushi Pedal?
It is a biking shonen.
Oh, the bicycle series.
Yes.
Yeah, Yonimushi Pedal. Yeah. Okay.
Have you ever been like, I wish there was more Yuri in this?
Yes, but that's me with everything.
Long Riders
Long Riders,
is just Yomushi Pedal,
but with gay girls.
but with gay girls. And there's a purple, glasses titty girl.
Okay.
So
you got
I
me.
saw that and I was like,
I see you're a
we're-
man of
we're
taste
going
as
in.
well.
a man of culture.
Yeah, you know what? I'm into it.
So yeah,
you,
I'm
you,
2
you said
episodes
the,
into
the
that.
four
That's
magic
pretty
words.
fun.
Purple hair, titty glasses.
Titty Yuri.
Yeah, I like that.
So yeah, it's.
I'm interested.
That's been fun.
Okay, that's cool.
I'm 2 episodes
Long
in.
Riders.
The first episode is just MC girl being like, "Oh wow, a folding bike. That's so cute. Can I buy a bike?" And her friend being like, "Yeah, let's go to the bike shop." They go to a super expensive bike shop, and she's like, "What the fuck is this?" And they find her a like cheaper folding bike, and she's like, "I love this so much. It's so cute." And she's like super in love with it.
Did you ever watch Laid Back Camp, the camping anime that came out last year?
No.
You'd like that, I think,
All
because
right.
it's also kind of light-hearted, Yuri-focused
Mm-hmm.
sports series, but the sport is camping, like wilderness camping.
Fair enough.
It's cute. It's a series that makes you want to go camping in Japan. That's for sure.
Yeah. I already want to go camping in Japan.
Yeah, no, it's very, very good. So okay, so I'm gonna have to give that a look. Zombieland Saga, I'm just gonna have to get there at some point.
Yeah.
Only 3 episodes in, but that's kind of what's out in the dub, and I really like the dub, so I'm sticking to that.
Yeah, fair enough.
But okay, interesting.
And now I think that's
I
pretty
think
much
it's time for the news.
oh wait, no. Wanted to mention one more thing because
Yes.
I don't know if you've watched it. Okay, no, 2 more things.
Sure.
Actually. I watched a lot of things this week.
Okay.
Terrifier.
Terrifier. Nope.
It is on Netflix. It is a horror movie about a spooky ass weird clown that murders fucking people for fun. Very good.
Terrifier. Okay.
It's a B tier horror movie, so
Okay, I'm interested.
no, it's terrible, but in all the right
lower
ways.
the tier, the better.
It's terrible in all the right ways. Very gory. Lots of fake blood. There's a scene where he shoots someone in the face like 6 times, and just gallons start like gushing out. And you're
I'm
like,
in.
That's
I'm in.
not. That doesn't make sense. I love it.
I love a good gore movie.
And on another note, another horror movie, Green Room.
Oh, I have seen
Okay,
Green Room,
yes.
and I am a fan. That is one of
yeah.
my favorite movies.
Well, I went in being like,
Is it a horror? I guess it's a social horror movie.
it's
kind of
like-
in the way that like in the same way that like Get Out is a horror
yeah,
movie.
I don't know. I think it's more of a suspense.
thriller.
It's like a suspense and gore movie.
Yeah,
Thriller. Yeah, thriller.
it's like a thriller.
Yeah, I wouldn't
it's
put
a
it on the
locked
same
room,
level
it's
as
a
Get
locked
Out.
room thriller
but-
because they're in
Yeah.
they're trapped in one area the whole
I
time.
me and my partner started doing a thing where we're like, all right, name of characters that have been introduced, who's living and who's dying. And boy, were we fucking wrong on a bunch of them. Hit that pause. Oh, that guy, he's going to live. Fucking 2 minutes later,
Bites it,
you know
yeah.
what? All right.
That is a
that has one of my
fantastic
favorite.
movie.
I think The Green Room ends on one of my favorite notes ever. That is just like, I don't fucking care. It was that. I think that's one of my favorite endings to any movie ever.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it's we can't talk about it. It will spoil it.
Yeah,
but
yeah. We can't
watch Green Room.
Yeah, hard recommend on Green Room.
Yeah. The
Green
director,
Room.
all of his stuff is very good. He just put out a new movie recently.
Yeah,
and
the black, the way no,
The Long
the
something.
long, the long black, the long dark.
The Long Dark or something like that. Or The
Mm.
Dark. But it's I forget the title, but the premise is like a guy who hunts wolves in Alaska.
No, the long dark is the game that came out.
Oh, okay. Put in Green Room and search
Yeah.
the director. He's French, I think. I believe he's a French director.
I feel like you're wrong. Oh no, you might be right.
No, he's American. Saulnier. He has a French name.
Yeah.
Jeremy Saulnier.
Hold the Dark.
Yeah. It's a movie about a guy who hunts wolves.
Yeah.
And he's sent to hunt a wolf.
Oh, we watched this actually.
You've watched that?
Yes.
Well, that's the
Oh,
same
man.
director as
okay.
Green Room.
Yeah, I didn't know.
And what did you think?
I looked this up earlier because I was like, oh wow, I like this director now. I want to see his most recent
well, you've
film.
already seen
But
it.
I've already seen it. I just
And you
didn't
also
know.
saw Green Room.
Yes.
So you've seen his two best movies.
Yeah, because I looked at the other list and I was like, I've never heard of any of these.
Jeremy Saulnier, that's his name.
The Hold the Dark. This is the one where Lady goes crazy.
Yeah.
So saw that too. This was a while ago. I think this was even before we started the podcast. But I really
very,
liked it.
very good.
It was.
It's got Alexander Skarsgård from
Yeah.
from True Blood
Mhm.
is in it. He's the prettiest Skarsgård.
The prettiest Skarsgård.
So news, we have a fuck ton of it. Holy
Big assload
shit.
of news, which is going to take up most of this podcast.
Yeah, so let's just kind of dive into it. We should kind of mainline the really simple stuff.
You wanna?
I guess we'll start off with
Stan Lee.
yeah.
Get that
let's-
out of the way.
yeah,
Rip
yeah.
Stan Lee. That's pretty
Let's
much
leave
it.
Stanley to the end.
Yeah.
Stanley and Pokemon we can leave to the end.
Yeah, Pokemon. Well,
let's
we're
just
gonna
kind of
get
burn.
super into
Let's kind of
Pokemon.
burn through the really basic stuff.
Okay, so the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie is coming out. That trailer
Yeah.
got fucking dropped, and it looks pretty good.
I mean, it looks like Brawly,
Yeah.
which looks fucking awesome. I mean, it's just a movie
Broly is
with
the biggest,
contemporary
dumbest boy.
animation and Brawly.
Yep.
I'm fucking in, dude.
You got Super Saiyan God, whatever Vegeta with the
Yep.
red hair.
Mm-hmm.
I can't keep track of the Super Saiyans.
There's a lot of
Saiyan
them.
gods. Super Saiyan God.
But that looks fucking crazy. I mean, the animation was like, ah!
Yeah,
It just looks impressive.
it looks
very, very
fucking
impressive.
rad. Another note.
Oh yeah, the Final Fantasy 15 thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so the lead director of Final Fantasy 15
Just bounced.
yeah, he said peace out Square.
I'm
Fuck
done.
y'all, I'm done.
Also, your DLC, you're getting one that's
Yeah.
finished already, and everything else, fuck you. It's
Yeah,
gone.
there was a bunch of episode DLCs planned for the game, and including episode Noctis and episode Lunafreya,
Yeah,
which are like probably the two most crucial fucking episodes to have released.
and those will not happen.
And no, they're not happening. They've canceled development on
with
them.
this,
They've canceled the DLC.
with this, they have lost 33 million.
They've effectively killed their game.
I
Final Fantasy 15 was pretty much only hanging on because people were like, I want to know what happens to
yeah,
these characters,
and now no one's gonna know.
nobody's gonna know, and therefore the game has pretty much been rendered totally irrelevant, which is both really interesting in that that could have just happened.
Yeah, I really wonder what happened though.
I'm thinking just the really troubled development. I mean, it's no secret the game had a troubled development cycle.
Yeah.
It literally took like fucking 15 years for the thing to come out practically. That game
There's probably
has
some
just been
internal tension too, though.
There's just been a state of hell for, I'm sure, everybody involved on it. So I'm not entirely surprised that he just decided to fucking bounce. But
yeah, it's super weird. Especially he had an internal company at Square also that he was
the head of.
and he just bounced from that too. His
His
stepped away
relationship
from
with
everything.
Square has probably soured.
Yeah, that's
But,
what I'm thinking is some internal shit.
That's not a surprise, considering Square doesn't have a great track record.
Whoops.
It's almost like Square kind of sucks to work for or
Oh
something.
no.
Wow,
Like
what
any
a
other
surprise.
game company.
A big Japanese Zaibatsu game company fucking sucks to work for.
No, that's impossible.
What a shock. It sucks to work for somebody in Japan. What a shock.
Oh no.
It sucks to work in the video game
What a
industry.
suck. It works.
What a what a suck.
That's not what I meant to
What a
say.
suck, it works.
What a suck. It works.
It's kind of I want to say it's a shame, but I also don't think Final Fantasy 15 is a good game. And I think it's maybe better that if they want to start making better games, they just start allocating the resources they've had towards something that people are going to really, really enjoy. Because it was clear that I think they kind of just rushed it out the gate because they knew people were eager to play it.
Now with this happening, we're gonna get Lightning Returns again.
But you know what?
Lightning Returns
People actually
2
fucking
again.
enjoyed that, apparently. Even though it's not very good.
They were wrong.
You were wrong.
Just
to
because
have
it made
fun.
money doesn't mean.
No,
it was-
exactly. Well, it looks like more people had fun with those Final Fantasy 13 and 13 adjacent games than they ever did with 15.
Yeah.
Which is sad because of how long it took to develop 15, and also just kind of sad because 15 had the potential to be really, really good in a way that 13
I mean,
definitely
just
was
with all the
not.
DLC content that was coming, you had almost an entire other game there.
Yeah.
You know, so like, it's
really
not a good day to be a Final Fantasy.
No,
Well, it's not
it's
a good
not.
week because this did not
It's
happen.
really, really
today.
not. I think Square should. Not that I think Final Fantasy as a series should die, but let's be real.
I think it needs a
something
break.
Else.
Yeah.
Either just a genuine fucking break, or an entry
Turn
that's
it
so
into a character action game.
an entry that's so completely fucking different from its predecessors in terms of what it's trying to do, the kind of narrative it's telling, or whatever, that you have no choice but to make it because the prospect of it existing is so interesting. But I don't think there is, apart from the aesthetic of Final Fantasy 15 and the battle system, which is basically just Kingdom Hearts,
Yeah.
I don't really see what the big deal with it was in the end. And I'll admit I bought into the hype at first. I thought it looked really cool and that it had the potential to be very fun.
You don't want
And
to drive around with your car boys taking pics.
That's the thing. I'll admit I was kind of interested in that, but just the game didn't deliver.
Yeah, well, I think that's what they were
mean,
hoping with the DLC was to fix all that
to
shit.
fix all
you
that
know?
bullshit. But you know what? It looks
But
like that's
now-
not going to happen.
yeah.
So there's really no point to play it anymore. Which is they've just killed their game.
Yeah.
What else do we have going on?
We got the intro for Persona Q2, which
Yeah.
shows off pretty much all the characters and a beautiful song from I imagine our boy Soji
Shoji Meguro.
Shoji. I have problems with
Shoji
the
Meguro
pronunciation.
is
a god.
I don't want to hyperbolize. I hate kind of over exaggerating stuff like this.
No,
but
but
Shoji Meguro is honestly one of the best composers working in games right now. He is consistently turning out some of the most eclectic and interesting scores
Yeah.
for games. I mean, the P5
things that you
soundtrack
wouldn't-
is fucking amazing.
things that you wouldn't like. You hear. I feel like you hear the albums or the tracks from any of the Persona games or
Yeah.
anything else he's worked on, even Catherine or whatever.
They all have a different sonic identity.
Exactly. They all have a different sonic identity, and they don't sound like video game music.
Exactly. The texture is so much different
Mm-hmm.
from I think what the kind of thing people like kind of assume game music has to be a particular way. And the great thing about Meguro's music is that he's such a
He just doesn't.
he's just
care.
such a he's a talented fucking composer who does not give a shit about genre convention.
Yeah.
I mean, how many JRPG scores are made up with include as much jazz influence as his,
Exactly.
with
And it's
genuinely,
so tonally bright because he wanted to go for like you're talking about P5.
Yeah, P5 has an extremely
He wanted
bright
to go
soundtrack.
for like old detective noir movies kind of.
Exactly, and it feels like it.
Yeah.
The texture of the music is so well suited to the kind of narrative that story is trying to tell. And I mean, my favorite Shin Megami Tensei game, Strange Journey, has a score that's mostly made up of kind of choral chants,
Yeah.
and it's really, really kind of harmonic, like chromatic music.
Mhm.
And I love the soundtrack of the game so much. It's fucking awesome.
And I am excited. That's the main reason I'm excited for Persona Q2 is just more music.
Yeah.
But in the intro,
it's nearly guaranteed it's going to be amazing.
yeah, for sure.
The aesthetic
even
of,
the
the aesthetic
soundtrack
of this
for-
Persona Q game is a lot closer to the aesthetic of P5 than it is to the aesthetic of the previous Persona Q game, from what I see.
Well, it's very they're still chibi-ish.
Yeah, I mean, I guess more so kind of the palette that they're going for.
Yeah, but yeah.
Because I feel like the last PQ game had kind of this 1960s mod aesthetic going for it.
Yeah,
This doesn't look like that.
No,
this is a little more
P5.
Yeah, a little more P5 and a little more like how do I describe it? It's less pop art, and
Yeah,
a
yeah.
little more kind of like a little more like
A little darker.
Yeah, because it's still got some of the psychedelic elements of the pop art kind of aesthetic.
Yeah, but it's less.
But it's the color palette is not as bright.
It's darker.
A little
even the blue and yellow.
for it's
3 and
really
4.
kind of a different looking aesthetic, but
Yeah.
it's cool. It looks closer to P5.
And if it follows,
yeah.
there's flashing colors on the screen. Hurt my eyes a little bit. But if it follows the Persona Q1 template, you're going to be able to start out as whoever, like
Yes.
either a P3 Pro tag, P4 Pro tag, or P5 Pro tag.
Yeah.
And from there, it seems to be you're going to be going into movie worlds. It's
Yeah,
still
like
kind of
based
unclear.
on different kinds of movies.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool. So basically what you're telling me is that Persona Q has become Gex.
Oh no.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Am I
And
right?
Persona Q is already fucking fanfiction.net, the game.
So this is
so-
just Persona Q meets Gex.
Yeah.
I'm fucking interested. I want to play that.
We'll see what it brings. I haven't looked too deep into it. I could be talking out of my ass, and the fucking whole premise could be already explained. I've just been seeing the trailers for
I'm
the
very
characters
intrigued.
and stuff. There was also an Agus World trailer, which seems to be a uniformity dictatorship where one of the robots is like, I want to be different, and everyone else is like, no.
That's kinda cool.
Yeah. So I mean, like, they could have some interesting levels. I hope it's better than the first game.
Oh,
'cause-
okay. This next bit is
Oh,
fucking
yeah.
hype. So Netflix is really, really, really,
They're
really,
pumping out the things that the
really,
people
really
like.
going into animation. They're fucking right now doing everything with their animation department that
I feel like
people have
the
wanted to see.
success of Castlevania really
Yeah.
pumped their
Castlevania
shit
and
into
Castlevania, Voltron, and I guess now She-Ra have been met with so much acclaim that and Hilda too. Hilda was very
Yeah.
successful. That they have no choice but to beef up their animation department, and
And
they've
boy,
hired,
are they ever.
They've hired if I could just remember his name, Glenn Keane. Yeah,
Hold on.
I think it's Glenn Keane, who's a very, very influential animator.
Craig Kyle.
Oh, this is the writers.
Yeah, this is the
But
writers. Fuck.
they've hired Glenn Keane, who's like a Disney legend. He is one of the most influential and important animators like of his era to spearhead their animation department. And amongst the series that are being produced, all of which seem really interesting, is a series based on Pacific Rim, an anime
Yes.
series. I think it is Studio Dean who is doing the animation.
I'm reading right now.
If I'm not wrong, it's Studio Dean. They might not say on this article.
Yeah, they might not, but I feel like you're probably right.
But Studio Dean, who, if that is who it is doing it, is a good studio. I like their stuff. DEN.
Oh yeah.
But Studio Dean make. Ooh, pardon my yawning. I'm a very tired boy.
Aren't we all?
They have made some very, very good stuff. And, I mean, there we go, right? Tells you everything you need to know.
Yeah. Pacific Rim? No, not that one.
Maybe it's not Dean. Maybe it's somebody else.
Anyway,
Pacific Rim is getting an anime, and I like Pacific Rim a lot.
I also like Pacific Rim a lot. When will they fight the Godzilla?
Well,
we'll never know.
I'm sure there's going to be a comic of that.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like if that crossover were to happen, it would be in the anime.
Yeah.
As opposed to a movie.
For sure. And it would probably, you know what I'd see happening? Them doing kind of a crossover between this Pacific Rim anime and those Godzilla anime movies.
Yeah, I don't really see that one though.
Well, something like
that.
Because
for that one to work, because the premise of the Godzilla Netflix animes is that like Earth is already fucked, right?
Yeah, but
I
no, time portals and shit. Comic books.
Maybe.
I feel like you couldn't really.
You could write it and you
really
could bullshit
this
it
to work in any other way.
Yeah.
Because there's no way that Godzilla fits into the Pacific Rim universe without
some kind of time
some
portal.
kind of
yeah.
bullshit. Yeah.
But I don't see it being.
It defeats the purpose of like.
But it would have to
kaiju.
be. Yeah. I don't see it being the Netflix Godzilla because that story is already too like Earth is fucked. We've been off of it for like so many goddamn years.
Yeah.
We're gonna go take it back. Oh fuck, no, we're not.
I'm sure they'll figure out. Cause
Yeah.
they have to do it.
I mean, it's
Legendary owns the rights to both franchises.
Yeah,
Which is also a thing. Maybe they'll fight the American Godzilla, the one from the new Monster Universe.
Maybe.
That'd be fine.
That would be alright.
I
could see that happening.
Movies. Those are fun. Those are probably the only cinematic universe outside of the Marvel universe that actually fucking works.
Yeah.
Because they're, they fucking work.
It's a crossover that makes sense, and
yeah, exactly.
Everyone
and it's
wants
kind of
it.
based on the original.
Everyone wants it,
stuff, right?
except for Toho. Toho doesn't want it. Toho doesn't want anything.
Toho doesn't like anything.
No.
That's why. I mean, I'll be the first to admit they were burned pretty hard with that first Godzilla American movie.
Yeah.
It was terrible. But they also kind of got a bad director to work on that, and the directors who are working on the new ones aren't bad.
No,
so,
but that's implying that they'll also stay, because every director who's ever touched any Godzilla shit is like, never a fucking again.
That's true, but the directors that they've gotten for these are pretty. The guy who just directed. This next one that's coming out, Godzilla versus Godzilla King of the Monsters.
Yeah, King of Monsters.
Is directed by the guy who directed Krampus.
Yeah.
And the previous Godzilla was directed by Gareth Edwards. He's a very good monster movie director. Gareth Edwards is known for directing specifically military science fiction.
Yeah.
And both of these movies kind of fit comfortably into that genre. And Jordan Voight Roberts, the guy who directed Kong Skull Island, is also kind of a director who's known for kind of being very stylish and having kind of like an auteur kind of air to his work.
Yeah.
And then the one who's directing Godzilla vs. King Kong is Adam Wingard, who's the director of, yes, he did direct the Netflix Death Note movie, but he directed way better shit prior to that. Like, he is a good director who I think was stifled by a complicated property.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a bad director at all.
It's not that complicated.
To adapt for an American audience, there's no way you can do it.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, well, I mean,
like, it
that's
was
the
kind
thing.
of
Like,
bound to suck.
Adapting a thing that is super Japanese to an American audience.
Yeah, it's never a good idea to keep as you have to mutilate it for it to work.
Yeah, of course.
Which is why the best
and
adaptations
they fucking did.
Like the best adaptations of manga premises and stuff in American cinema completely throw out pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at the one that Chris McQuarrie did, Edge of Tomorrow.
All You Need Is Kill.
Yeah, All You Need Is Kill is a really stupid novel, light novel, and the manga based off of it is really stupid. They pretty much kept the premise, but they ejected everything else, and it worked. And that's probably the most successful live action adaptation of an anime by an American studio or a manga.
But that no one knew was a live adaptation of a...
And the expense comes with the fact that nobody was fucking aware that that's what it was. hopefully Alita Battle Angel is good.
I have hopes for it.
I think it looks impressive.
I like the eyeballs.
I'm
I'm fine with it.
I'm a fan of Robert Rodriguez. I just like his movies. I think he's a very talented director.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what he can do with it. Especially with stylish comic book properties, he does a good job. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not the kind of person who goes around standing like everything by Frank Miller. I really don't consider myself a huge fan of Frank Miller. But I'll be the first to admit that, the visual style of his Sin City comics looks very impressive when adapted by Robert Rodriguez. Like, that shit looks good. Like, Sin City is a good-looking movie. Nothing else really looks like it. It's very stylish.
Yeah, it's very unique.
And it's a good adaptation of that comic, despite me kind of having kind of cooler opinions on the comic.
Yeah.
It's a very good adaptation of the comic. Like
it's the best way you could have probably done it. I don't see.
Yeah, exactly. And
Especially
my feelings towards it are only limited by my feelings towards the source material.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
are kind of poor. I don't really enjoy it too much.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of just kind of being an adaptation of a hard-boiled crime comic, it works very well. And especially in adapting Miller's artwork for that series, which is very visually striking artwork. Say what you will about the quality of the drawings or whatever, but it's very visually striking. It's stark black and white with red.
Yeah.
You couldn't really ask for something with a stronger identity visually than that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's very impressionistic and powerful. So
He's good.
He's impressive.
He's good.
And so I'm excited to see what Rodriguez does with Alita. That would be really interesting.
Yeah.
But it seems kind of like Pacific Rim as an anime has a lot of potential. And they were talking about it a couple years ago.
Yeah,
well, I mean,
with the first one, it just kind of made sense as a thing to happen.
And then the second movie came out, and
it was less good than the first one.
Less good, but still fun.
Yeah, it was exactly. It was still super fun. It just I felt
it kind of came full circle. Instead of it kind of went from how the first one's kind of Evangelion-esque.
Yeah,
it is.
2 is rebuilt.
Yeah, 2 is like. You chuck out the Ava influence and insert the influence of kind of like
big
mechas,
robots
like a mecha
go boom.
series that isn't Ava.
Yeah.
Like almost like a super or giant robo series, like I don't know, like one of the fun Gundams.
Yeah. Well, I mean the thing that's weird with the second one to me was that they threw out cool potential for mecha designs and just kind of had repetitive ones.
Yeah, they were all very more human.
I don't remember
shape, I guess.
Well,
like
they
kind of had this very similar design language going on.
Yeah, like all of them were kind of the same. They all had the same weapons.
Whereas the ones of the first movie were all kind of different. They all had a very strikingly radically
big
different
dumb
aesthetic
wrecking
to
ball one. And fucking it was anyway.
They were kind of cool. They looked a little more Michael Bay Transformer.
Yeah,
which is, I don't know. I don't want to think it's necessarily a slight against the movie because I think the movie was still enjoyable. And it has a very impressive action set piece at the end where they're fighting in the volcano.
Mm-hmm.
That was very cool. So there's a lot of cool shit. But I don't know how I feel about that movie as kind of like a sequel to Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
But I know that I like it a lot just because as an enjoyable piece of cinema.
Yeah,
it was definitely
super fun.
To see it in the theater was a treat.
Yes.
It was very
it was
dumb and fun.
It's a fucking giant
it reminded me of when I
tower
was,
elbow from the fucking outer space.
It reminded me when I was watching Kong Skull Island in the theater. Like that movie is meant for the movie theater. And it worked very well because of where I was watching it. We've got a whole bunch of other news, like little
I'm trying
little
to
shots.
Trying to trickle out some shit. They showed the Void for Devil May Cry 5.
Yeah,
which
that looks
is
interesting.
Fucking rad. It's going to be essentially a no holds barred training mode, so you can do bajillion hit combos and impress your friends.
Which is really, really a good idea for character action games.
It really is, and I guess the closest that I know of having it is the Bayonetta loading screen.
Bayonetta has the loading screens where you can kind of fuck around, exactly.
And
but
depending on how long you're in there. But other than that, I don't know of any others that have a straight up like.
In my memery, I have no clue.
Yeah.
So that's a really good idea.
And I'm glad they're doing it. And
I hope it goes well.
They have the unlimited Devil Breakers.
Yeah.
a touch that I thought was really fucking rad is with the Mega Buster Devil Breaker is his dodge turns into a Mega Man slide, and his stance and everything just is very
cool.
reminiscent of Mega Man, and like it's the only one it does it for.
God damn.
There's also the Pasta Breaker, I think, which is just a Devil Breaker that has a fucking fork on it.
Yeah.
And it's just I'm excited for the amount of ridiculousness, and especially the opportunities for like. I imagine this game will have DLC, and I imagine those will come with different Devil Breakers, and I can only hope that they will be big, dumb, stupid things that I love.
That'll be good. And there was also Cloudpunk, I believe.
Yes, Cloudpunk. We can talk about that.
Something that you were
quick.
Interested in talking about. Just kind of it kind of appeals to.
Yeah,
something of yours.
I mean, the game is called Cloudpunk. All right, I'm in. It is a cyberpunk game where you're a courier. I can't set that up to be anything more than for me.
Yeah.
So it's a PC game where you play as a courier for a semi-legal delivery company. Wow. Same. And
Big
just
mood.
the aesthetic of it all
Big Ben
looks
moods.
really fucking rad.
Yeah, it looks very, very impressive.
There's not much besides an announcement trailer now.
But it's a 2.5D game from the looks of it.
From the looks of it, kind of top down, depending on if you're driving or if you're walking around.
Yeah. But it's a very, very cool looking game.
It looks great. I'm fucking stoked.
I guess it's kind of an isometric perspective.
But like that's the thing. I don't know how much of this is gameplay. I don't.
Yeah, and how much of it is just kind of aesthetics.
It's not gameplay. This is gameplay. So
Yeah.
like, it'll be. I feel like it's gonna be one of those things where the camera angle changes depending on what the situation calls for.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know what the gameplay is gonna be like. I don't know where the premise is gonna go with the fact that you're. You're a courier? Like, it seems like it's set during the events of a single night.
Oh.
Ooh, that's even more interesting.
Including androids, AI, and unscrupulous humans at every level of society. So, yeah, it seems like it's going to use kind of the premise of being a courier to explore what this world functions like socially.
Yeah.
Which, to me, sounds like it's doing better Cyberpunk than Cyberpunk 2077.
We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
I'm still super hyped for Cyberpunk 2077.
This kind of seems like it gets kind of what the point of Cyberpunk is a little more.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing that's worrying about Cyberpunk 2077.
It doesn't seem like it's really punk.
It's
very cyber.
Yeah, very cyber.
It's very cyber, but it just doesn't seem that punk.
We'll have to see. CD Projekt Red, don't fuck it up.
Kind of seems like CD Projekt Red are kind of going like, hey.
They like the Future Man gun.
And they also like to be transphobic on the internet.
Woo!
On Twitter. So I guess
3 strikes, you're out.
Yeah,
I'll still buy your game, but stop, please.
Yeah, please stop talking.
I don't want to have to do this.
This also looks very interesting. So Void Bastards.
Along with this was during the Xbox Live event that I missed. I wanted to watch it, but then just kind of caught up on the things that looked cool.
Yeah.
This came out alongside the Void news, and this is called Void Bastards.
How would you describe it? System Shock with comic book aesthetics?
BioShock with System Shock with because it's from the developer
of BioShock 2 and System Shock.
I think it's BioShock 1.
Oh, really?
Which would make it even better.
Oh, and System Shock 2, I think.
Yeah, System Shock 2.
Because System Shock 2 is a favorite of mine. I love that game.
Is it?
I think it might be the director.
It'll tell us in a second.
The development director of BioShock and System Shock 2. Very impressive.
Very comic book aesthetic. Like take Borderlands, I guess, and
it's very
make it even more
very cell shaded. It looks very flat, which is cool.
Yeah, it looks like a 3D, 2D, but like from a first person perspective, it looks like a 2D comic book panel that is just alive.
And it seems like it's kind of a mix of an RTS and a shooter, where like the RTS segments are you kind of boarding different ships.
Yeah, and then clearing them out.
Clearing them out in an FPS.
What I can only imagine is probably some kind of weird infection.
Yeah, it seems like it's kind of an alien menace of some sort.
Yeah, and you seem to be a robot,
which is very
who
cool.
controls bodies.
Yeah.
And if you die, it's kind of like your way out. So your body dies, and then the robot just kind of goes back to the ship, and I guess there you can select a different character.
That's a very, very cool idea.
Yeah, I'm super interested to see how this fucking plays out because it looks rad.
It really, really does. I'm interested. It looks just like a lot of fun.
Yeah, it do.
What other stuff?
Last little thing.
Yeah, before we get into the big.
The Mandalorian.
So I know a lot about this because I've been following the development really closely.
I have not, but I'm fucking stoked. If you want to take it away for like 2 seconds, I'll listen. I gotta go pee.
Sure thing. So The Mandalorian is, I guess, the first real foray for Star Wars into live-action television series. The idea, of course, of doing a live-action Star Wars television series has been in development for fucking ever. Pretty much since the original movie came out. And George Lucas has been talking about putting Star Wars on TV. And there have been a variety of Star Wars television specials. I mean, the infamous Star Wars Christmas special or holiday special. There's the Ewok Caravan of Courage and something else, the 2 Ewok movies. But, you know, Star Wars isn't unfamiliar with television, of course, because there have been, I mean, rather recently, some very successful Star Wars animated series on air. There's been Star Wars The Clone Wars, which went from kind of being a mediocre series to a very, very, very good show by the end of its run.
Until they destroyed all the canon.
And it's getting revived again, which is really cool. So I'm interested to see how that works.
So they can remake all the canon. I fucking hate the Star Wars universe.
But
I love it so much.
The Clone Wars series is still in canon. Everything
I thought they retconned it.
No, everything that happens in
Star Wars... Oh, no,
Wars,
it's true. It's
you're thinking about the Genndy Tartakovsky Clone Wars. Which is very good too, but that was a mini-series. Star Wars' first properly serialized television show was Star Wars The Clone Wars, which ran in syndication and was very popular and successful, but it ended they say that CN or Cartoon Network pulled the plug on the show when they realized that the kind of stories they were trying to tell at that point were just a little too violent and heavy for the programming block, and so they prematurely canceled the show, and the last couple of episodes of it went on to Netflix. And those last couple of episodes are very good. They're very dark, very lore heavy. But afterwards, Disney XD, which, you know, this is the first proper Star Wars series on Disney, ran Star Wars Rebels, which is 4 seasons long and also very, very good. I followed it from the first episode to the end.
It's going to be streaming on Disney Plus.
Yes, it is.
Which means I'm going to have to pay money to get my Mandalorian fix.
You don't always have to pay money for a streaming series.
We would never do that. That's illegal.
This is very interesting. So yeah, Star Wars Rebels, a very, very good show, which I followed from episode 1 to the very last episode. Started in 2014 and it ended earlier this year. Very, very good show. And afterwards, now what's airing on Disney XD is Star Wars Resistance, which is set in the new era of films, and so far has been very good. I've watched the first 5 episodes, and I've enjoyed it. But anyway, the live-action Star Wars series has been a thing that they've been talking about for a long time. Originally, ABC had optioned with Lucasfilm to do a Star Wars series set. He's only acting in it.
Oh.
He directed Iron Man.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess we'll talk about. We'll get to this in a second, but yeah, Star Wars live-action series. They've been talking about it for a long time. Initially, they wanted to do one that was like an Old Republic show. That fell through. They wanted to do one that was based on the underworld of Star Wars. That, I think, is where they kind of get the idea to do this.
Yeah.
This show is set during the era of the sequels, so it's set in between episodes 6 and 7. And the main character of the show, the series is called Star Wars: The Mandalorian. It is being showrun and directed by Jon Favreau, who is like Disney's go-to guy right now for a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
He's directing their new Lion King movie that they're doing. He directed the Jungle Book movie they did. He's the director of Iron Man, and the director of Iron Man 2. He's a very competent director. He directed the movie Chef, which is a very good, enjoyable movie about food culture and food truck culture. And he's a talented actor to boot. He's been in most of his own movies and in tons of other stuff. I like him a lot. And he's got a lot of... I wouldn't say he's necessarily an auteur director, but he's a cut above the typical studio hand. He's not just David Yates. He is better than that. he has personality, and his movies carry a bit of his personality. He's a bit of a sardonic dude, and a lot of his movies kind of have a bit of a sardonic tone to them. But he's a cool director, and right now for Disney, he seems to be pretty hip. So The Mandalorian is a series that Disney is touting as the first live-action Star Wars series. Will be premiering next year on Disney Plus, which is Disney's new streaming service.
Because they're going to beat Netflix.
And they will. They will. The second you take Disney's properties off of Netflix, that's a huge blow, right? Because that's Marvel gone, Star Wars gone, Disney
That's
movies
what they were lining
gone.
up to do.
Which is really smart.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Disney has no reason to not do this.
I forgot about them owning everything now.
Yeah, and 20th Century Fox.
Yeah.
Which means 20th Century Fox stuff might air exclusively on Disney Plus.
All right,
that's
buy Netflix.
To say Disney has a fucking insane catalog at their disposal right now. And this new movie, or new TV series, it's going to be 10 episodes long, and it's being directed by a variety of famous directors, including Michelle MacLaren and Taika Waititi, who's doing an episode. John Favreau himself is directing the premiere, and he's showrunning and creating the show. It is going to be starring Pedro Pascal, who is, I guess he's best known for playing Oberyn Martell in Game of Thrones. Yeah. But he's also been in a ton of other stuff. He's going to be in Wonder Woman 2, or Wonder Woman 1984, I think it's called. Wonder Woman 84. But he's going to be in that as the primary antagonist, I believe, or one of them. And he's just been in a ton of stuff recently.
I feel like the line in this that gets me the most pumped is it will focus on a lone gunfighter in the outer reaches of the galaxy, which hopefully means no fucking Skywalker shenanigans.
No, this show is exclusively about a Mandalorian warrior.
Good, that's what I want. He's sick of the Skywalkers.
Literally, this is a Wandering Ronin series, so they're cutting back to Star Wars' influences from Westerns and Chanbara samurai movies.
Vagabond the Mandalorian?
Yeah, it looks very, very good.
All right.
Just everything about it so far is very impressive, and the main character is being played by Pedro Pascal, who's a very talented actor.
Nice.
So this is going to be really interesting. And there was a lot of Mandalorian shit in recent Star Wars stuff. Like Star Wars Rebels' entire 3 seasons run to the end is full of Mandalorian stuff.
I'm gonna have to check that out then.
It's packed.
You
are a fan of the Mandalorian stuff.
Mandalorian shit is just fucking the coolest part about Star Wars to me.
The best thing about Star Wars now is that it's embracing the Mandalorian stuff. Like there's the Clone Wars stuff. Like Clone Wars last couple seasons had a lot of Mandalorians. And Rebels, which is a sequel to Clone Wars.
I mean, before all you ever had
a lot of Mandalorian stuff.
All you ever had was EU shit for Mandalorian stuff.
Exactly.
Like I've got a box in that closet right now full of fucking just nothing but Mandalorian comics.
Yeah.
That are all now retconned out of existence.
Exactly. But I'll be honest, the new Mandalorian lore is a lot better than the old lore.
All right.
Yeah. I think you're gonna enjoy it. It takes a lot more influence from the samurai kind of stuff than the previous stuff did. Yeah, I think you're going to really enjoy how this works. It's also not a dead culture in the same way that it was in the old ones, but Mandalore is like a planet that has basically
still thriving.
It's moved past its warlike past, and most people who remain wearing the armor are people who have ostensibly kind of not given up the old ways, and it's a lot closer to kind of what it was like for samurai living in kind of the Meiji era Japan, where they were being made increasingly irrelevant.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting kind of thing where it's a group of people who previously held power for generations suddenly being stripped of it and finding that they're no longer relevant in a current society and fighting back against it, both to their detriment and to the detriment of their new kind of peaceful culture. It's an interesting kind of culture to adapt, and I think they're doing a good job with it. So Star Wars The Mandalorian looks very good. It's coming out next year. Hopefully we will find a way to access it.
Do we have a date next year, or is it just a projected
next
window?
year, 2019.
All right.
It's pretty heavily along into production now. They've been directing and kind of doing shit for a while. But it's impressive. I'm excited to see what they do. It's a very good idea to do this.
It is a promising
stuff. Yeah. It looks
event.
Great. Now on to the big shits.
All right.
What do we want to?
Let's start with the Stanles.
Okay, so Monday, Stan Lee of Marvel fame, one of the most influential people in comic books history, maybe even the most,
died at the age of 95, which is impressive.
Yeah.
And honestly, kind of like when I first heard the news, I was super shocked and like, what? What? This has got to
Yeah.
be a fake thing. Like everyone's just fucking with everyone.
Exactly.
The Onion posted a not funny article.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. But then it was like, you know what? He had a run. He's
Yeah.
been here for fucking ever, and
yeah.
super recently too. Like just has always been like sick, had a bunch of
Yeah.
health problems in recent years.
There has been some
and,
legal
like,
trouble.
Yeah.
There's been accusations that people involved in like the handling of his estate have been trying to kind of pull one over on him.
Yeah, take
So
that money.
He's had a very complicated life, but I guess to eulogize him would be a good way to kind of get through it. Because on one hand, he's a conflicted figure in comic book history.
Yeah.
You
made this? No, I made this.
Yeah, he's notorious for kind of, and I know stealing is a harsh word, and I don't think stealing is entirely what he did, because he was always there to give credit to the other people involved in the process. And he never took entire credit. So he is not a thief in the way that Bob Kane, the quote-unquote creator of Batman, basically stole the credit from Bill Finger, who's the real creator. And even to this day, it's contentious at DC because Bob Kane's estate will sue them if they say that he didn't really create Batman.
They're gonna sue us now.
He was just the guy who kind of came up with the vague idea, and Bill Finger made everything else up.
Yeah.
All these stuff that's important and that you like about Batman, Bill Finger created. This is not the same situation. Stan Lee was heavily involved in the creation of most of the characters that are credited to him, and that is
most notably Spider-Man.
a fucking laundry list. Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, the Hulk, the X-Men, Ant-Man and Wasp,
the Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four
was what
Thor.
saved comics.
Yeah, the Fantastic Four saved comic books. Yeah, it really did. The Silver Age of comics was a rough time for people, and there's like I want to say the early Silver Age was rough.
Yeah, well, wasn't it?
It wasn't until the early Silver Age kind of ended with the premiere of the Fantastic Four
that it picked back up, because there was, I think, a German psychologist or something being like, comic books are ruined, and like comic books were going through a Atari-esque
they were
decline.
Frederick Wertham, who is a famed German-American psychologist, wrote a very infamous and now, of course, unanimously considered ridiculous and false book called Seduction of the Innocent, which, amongst many other things, touted comic books as one of the reasons for like the decline of youth in America, like in terms of their behavior and stuff like that. Flagrantly false and full of bad fake psychology, pseudo-psychology, pop psychology, really.
Comic book psychology.
Yeah, it was really it's garbage and it's poorly researched, but that book was infamous, and there were hearings that basically dictated what sort of content could appear in comics at that point. They called it the Comics Code Authority. This organization was formed, and the CCA heavily regulated comics the way that the Hays Code regulated movies. Comics couldn't show a whole bunch of shit anymore, and it left a lot of writers in a corner because a lot of early comics were pulpy and violent and told kind of stories that involved heavy subjects like rape and race and shootings and gun violence and fascism and disregard for authority, things that Wertham considered antisocial and that he thought was influencing antisocial behavior.
Yeah.
Then comics got kind of, I want to say, weak. Like they were weak sauce.
Safer.
They were safe. The comics became kind of ridiculous. You went from having stories about Superman punching Nazis to stories about Superman
cooking a barbecue.
Superman stopping a ridiculous kind of villain. And I'll be the first to defend a lot of the Silver Age content and characters because it's fun now.
Is that where Condiment King comes from?
Yes.
Oh, of course.
Like, there's a lot of the things that people consider unanimously like ridiculous about comics come from either the 90s or the Silver Age.
The Silver Age is the 90s reason is almost for like Z tier.
The 90s is almost like the new Silver Age of comics. But Silver Age is like the original 90s comics, except where the 90s was ridiculously edgy, the Silver Age is ridiculously soft. Like all the kinds of stories they were telling where it was fluff.
Yeah.
There was no substance to it. And there was a lot of stuff like Batman shaking hands with police officers and going, "You're the real heroes," and basically vigilantism kind of being looked down upon, and authority figures being commended in their place. So
cops are the real superheroes.
Comics were shit for a little while. The early Silver Age brought a lot of cool
I think
stuff
they're
into
still
it.
kind of weird,
They're
but not
weird,
that bad.
But they weren't bad. You know? These were bad comics.
I mean, there's
A lot of them were
arguably
bad.
still bad comics.
There's tons of bad comics, but comics as a medium in their entirety weren't garbage the way they were now. There were comics that, of course, just kind of refused to abide by the comics code.
Yeah.
But if comic books refused to abide by them, they couldn't guarantee that they'd be held on shelves of any bookstore. You know, so there was no point in trying to deny the code authority unless you deliberately wanted to sabotage the success of your book. So EC, who's the company that ran like Tales from the Crypt, didn't give a shit. And Tales from the Crypt was like a big anti-authority pulpy kind of thing to read at the time. But people who were reading DC Comics or Timely Comics, as Marvel were called before they became Marvel Comics, weren't necessarily getting, the same stories they had been getting 10, 20 years ago. The stories that were being told were toothless and boring and stupid and fluffy. And, sometimes they're silly and fun, but a lot of the time they're just kind of silly and boring.
Yeah.
Then the Marvel Age of Comic comes along. And the Marvel Age of Comics was kind of spurned by three particular people. It's Joe Simon, Jack Kirby, and Stan Lee. Stan Lee had worked as an intern at Timely Comics, at the time Marvel Comics, which at the time what Marvel Comics was called.
Yeah.
And he got into writing for them, and he wrote a lot of romance stories and Western cowboy stories and the kind of stuff that sold at the time. Superhero comics were not in.
They weren't in, though.
Yeah. But Kirby and Simon were kind of the old guard already at that point.
Yeah.
They had already created Captain America. They had already done a lot of the shit that they would be commended for. Like their characters were still around. And the idea of doing a superhero team book was really appealing because probably the most successful comic at the time was Justice League.
Yeah.
Justice League had been like the first proper comic in a while to kind of feature superheroes in any sort of prominent role that wasn't fluffy garbage. It was a fun book, and the first issue of Justice League was very successful because it was, I want to say, one of the first true and proper crossovers of Silver Age appeal comic book characters. So Space Age characters like the Green Lantern, or the Hal Jordan version of Green Lantern, the newer version of the Flash, Barry Allen, and of course Wonder Woman, the Martian Manhunter, and Superman and Aquaman. So those are some older characters mixing with some newer guard characters. The appeal was immense. You can imagine how much people were obsessed with it. So the prospect of a team book was huge. And then Stan Lee and Jack Kirby kind of had an idea. And I don't think because of Stan's pageant to kind of take more credit than maybe he was owed.
Yeah.
I don't think it's entirely clear whose idea it was. Probably it was both of theirs. Stan definitely talks about it like it was mostly his.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't talk about Jack Kirby as being irrelevant to the idea. Jack Kirby as an artist is considered still by many to be the best comic book artist of all time. I would say he was. He's amazing. And his work is amazing. Stan's writing is kind of a thing that he's least notable for now.
Yeah.
But it was that writing that got him into comics.
Exactly.
So he and Jack created the Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four as a concept were basically, what if a family but superheroes? And it was huge. It was so fucking successful.
I mean, it fucking saved Marvel
exactly.
pretty much.
From that, Timely Comics transitioned into Marvel Comics, and Marvel was just a juggernaut from then on. They were always kind of what DC wasn't.
Yeah. Good.
When DC was kind of toothless and goofy and impersonal, Marvel was trying to tell stories that, were difficult and dealt with difficult subject matter, like poverty and inequity.
Race.
Yeah, race and sexuality and inequity. I mean, the X-Men are a huge race allegory.
No.
Really, right?
Nah.
And they're an allegory for
From
anybody
the
who's
60s,
oppressed.
nah.
Yeah. Characters like Black Panther, who are portrayed very positively for black characters at the time.
Yeah.
And
Luke Cage.
Even
Question mark?
Exactly. Even in his first appearance, like there is, which is in a Fantastic Four comic, by the way, there's some casual, 60s racism.
Yeah.
It happens. There is a lot of kind of othering of Wakanda,
Mm-hmm.
but just compared to the way that Africans were, or people of African descent, African Americans and Africans were depicted in comics, they weren't seen as savages. You know? These characters from Wakanda, Black Panther in particular, they were seen as competent, just as capable as their North American counterparts, if not more. And it was very progressive for the time. And I want to say that's kind of the most impressive thing about Stan Lee, is that he kind of brought or contributed to bringing a progressive edge to comic books that just wasn't previously there. How much of that was because of Jack Kirby, who was a staunch anti-fascist socialist? Both men were Jewish.
Yeah.
So both resented, of course, Nazism and I want to say, like, for the most part, resented right-wing politics.
Yeah, of course.
But both Jack and Stan were, outspoken in their work about racism and, just a remarkable pair of kind of creators that worked very well together.
Yeah.
And, it's been said that the way that Stan Lee treated Jack Kirby afterwards, is probably what led Kirby to leave Marvel and to go over to DC and create a whole bunch of stuff for them, which all of his work for DC is just as influential as his work for Marvel.
I mean, the same can be said, obviously different time frame, but for Todd McFarlane too.
Yeah, Todd McFarlane as well.
Kind of
went on,
just like,
created his own shit.
This. Yep.
Jim Lee started out at Marvel, then now he's DC's editor-in-chief. So just a whole bunch of stuff like that. I mean, there's also
not to shit talk the man, but Stan Lee had his problems.
Stan Lee had his problems.
You also can't
you
just
can't
throw away what he's done.
Exactly. You can't talk about Stan Lee without talking about the many things that have been said about the way he ran shit and the kind of credit that he took. But you can't talk about him without also saying the dude was influential.
Yeah.
Far more so.
Whether you like Marvel or not.
Exactly.
He made the most popular superhero in the entire world.
Yeah. Spider-Man co-created with Steve Ditko.
Yeah.
Who only ever co-created another comic again for Marvel, which is Doctor Strange. And then he just kind of fucked off to DC and he did the Blue Beetle. Or no, he fucked up to Charleston Comics, he did Blue Beetle, and then Charleston was bought by DC Comics. And then those characters from Charleston came into DC. But he created the Blue Beetle, who is basically Spider-Man Batman.
Yeah.
He's like, what if Batman was happier and kind of like Spider-Man?
Didn't have his parents killed.
Exactly. But Steve Ditko also kind of went off the deep end later and became very influenced and interested in like Ayn Rand and Randian politics.
Okay, yeah.
And he created an entire character that was basically him going, but what if Ayn Rand is a superhero?
Oh, no.
And that was The Question, who even to this day, as I'll always say, is like pretty much whenever he's present in any sort of contemporary work, the subject of much ridicule. There's entire episodes of like Justice League Unlimited where there's like a joke about
Scrappy Doo the superhero.
Yeah, well, characters go into the Question's office and go, dude, it fucking smells. Do you shower? And he'll just be pointing at like a fucking conspiracy board. And they're just like, yes, but you smell like shit. Clean yourself.
Wash your clothes. Do you play Smash?
He's basically like he's portrayed as like a crazy conspiracy theorist, which he is. So it's funny, like most people who think Ayn Rand is good are. But
whoa.
But it's interesting.
Can you hear the wolves at the door now?
Hot Ayn Rand take. Ayn Rand's bad.
Oh
no, you
no
couldn't see that one.
disagreements.
Couldn't see that opinion coming.
Not to spend too much more time on the Lee man.
But yeah, Stan. He did a lot of bad shit.
Did a lot of good shit.
He did a lot of good shit.
His bar was at neutral when he died.
I think it was Shannon Strucci, who is somebody who I really admire, is a YouTube creator, said it very well when she said something along the lines of, you can talk about how Stan Lee took a lot more credit than he was owed, but also feel influenced and, kind of happy to have been influenced by him. And you can also feel bad that later on in his life, he was probably taken advantage of, and elder abuse probably occurred to him
very often.
And he, the last couple of years of his life were probably really difficult.
Yeah, I mean, he
But
was sick all the time.
He was immensely ill. His wife passed away.
Yeah.
And that was very sad. And she was kind of his rock through a lot of his
Yeah.
career.
Well, I mean,
I also want to say
he had a
something-
good
some-
60 years of success,
Something
too.
else Stan did. Responsible for the creation of Super Sentai?
Yeah,
Which,
Spider-Man fucking...
Yeah. Without Japanese Spider-Man, which Stan okayed and thought was fucking awesome, there wouldn't have been Battle Fever J.
There wouldn't have
Battle
been...
Fever J, without that, which was a Marvel co-production with Toei, there would have never been Super Sentai, because Battle Fever J is considered by many people to be the first proper entry into the Super Sentai series. And
So thanks, Stan, for inspiring
Yeah.
Sentai.
so without Stan Lee, there would be no Power Rangers. And
yeah.
the world would be a much worse place without Power Rangers.
But there'd be no Saban.
That's true. Saban sucks, but Power Rangers good.
Yeah.
But
Damn
anyway,
it, you owe the good thing. Own the good thing.
Stan Lee was a very influential dude. And I mean, of course,
it's sad that he passed.
it is a loss.
Yes.
The world is not a better place without Stan Lee.
It's not necessarily a worse place.
It's not necessarily a worse place.
It's a neutral
but
loss.
it's not. This is not.
A loss felt across, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day,
Exactly.
was a surprise to no one.
Yeah. 95
After-
years old is a long time to live.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
the thing. Like, as soon as I heard, like I said, as soon as I heard the news, it was like, what? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's 95.
He's fucking
Yeah.
duh.
And with all the shit that he'd been going through, it wouldn't be surprised if,
Yeah.
the accusations of elder abuse turned out to be true, and that, his passing was so suddenly was due to, stress.
Now
or exacerbated
Now it
by
remains to be seen how many pre-filmed cameos he had.
Yeah, for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which Kevin Feige said something about him having a lot of them, so
Yeah, I imagine so.
I imagine he would.
Now
So,
we can
yeah,
move on
Rip
to
Stan Lee.
the detective of the hour.
So Detective Pikachu.
The trailer dropped when? Tuesday?
Monday. Same day
Monday.
Stan
Oh yeah,
passed.
because there was, what was the other thing?
Something else
Something
happened.
4. Toy Story 4 was also
yeah,
announced Monday,
which
but I mean, fuck
Who
it,
gives a
whatever.
shit?
Yeah.
It's Toy Story 4.
It'll be good.
It'll be fine.
So
Yeah.
we don't have to
you
talk
need
about
to talk
that.
about Toy
No.
Story. Everybody knows it'll be
What we
fine.
need to talk about is the
This.
possibility of a good video game movie.
I just want to say, Nintendo, for a company that's not known for taking risks, this is a genuine fucking gamble.
Yeah.
And whether or not it remains to be seen whether or not it pays off. But
I have high hopes that it'll be
I
really
have hopes
good.
that it will, because the people involved in it are passionate about the
Yeah,
project.
and like you just
And-
look at the
The trailer.
we're looking at the trailer right now.
Oh wow.
It has that really pretty neo-noir aesthetic.
Which suits the Detective Pikachu
Of course.
story.
My only problem, and I think it's a hurdle I will be able to pass with time, is fucking Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu. It's hard.
It's distracting.
Because
it is very distracting.
it's just Deadpool. He's not even making a different voice. He's not
Yeah.
putting on a front. It's
But I'll
just
be
straight up.
entirely honest about this. I think the idea of casting a big name actor and a recognizable voice at that
Yeah.
as Pikachu is kind of an inspired idea, because I think the entire idea of Pikachu talking is meant to be immensely distracting.
Yeah, of course. I mean, they could
Yeah.
have, no matter whose voice, it
Yeah.
would have been weird.
Yeah.
It's
the-
just
the
especially
fact that
weird that it's especially
Deadpool.
for me, because like I've seen the Deadpool movies and I like
Yeah.
them, and like it's
You
just,
like
it's
Deadpool
a
a lot,
voice that
yeah.
registers as this is what's supposed to be on screen,
Yeah.
not my Pikachu man. But
Uh,
overall,
apart from the voice, I mean, there's nothing I can't say about this that isn't that's just kind of faint praise, because for everything from the cinematography and aesthetic of the movie to the texture work on the Pokemon,
like this is the best
That they
that
could have
live
possibly
action
done.
could
Yeah.
be right now.
it was
'Cause,
either they literally just do untextured CG models like
yeah,
the
those
games,
creepy plastic.
yeah,
it's-
and the
it wouldn't have been
Pokemon look
good.
like fucking plastic, or they do this.
Yeah, and
They
this
went
is
with this, and
weird at first, but I watched it four
Yeah.
4 or 5 more times. You get used to it. It's fine. The Pokemon look great. It looked like
I want to.
It's the best they could look.
You know how I could describe it? You know the Christopher Robin movie that just came out? The one that they did with Ewan McGregor?
Yeah.
I watched it recently. It was very good. I thought it was a very sweet movie. The aesthetic of this movie reminds me kind of like what that movie was doing with its texture work on the Pooh Bear characters, where the texture is that of realistic fabrics and furs.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, rabbit and owl look like a rabbit and an owl because they are a real rabbit and an owl in context to the rest of the characters, which are toys. Mm-hmm. But Pooh Bear, this kind of fluffy, cute Pikachu reminds me of and he's cute, but he's cute like an animal's cute. He's not cute like a Stuffy is cute.
No,
you know?
no,
he's not cute like an anime Pikachu is cute.
And like
he's
the way
cute
the
like
hair
an animal is cute.
Makes sense.
The animation is very impressive.
I'm very impressed by the actors.
Yeah.
Like Ryan Reynolds, the flow of the conversation that they're having.
Yeah.
It's really good. It doesn't.
I think Justice Smith and Ryan Reynolds seem to have a lot of chemistry.
Yeah.
And I know that there's a secondary protagonist who's a girl and she's got a Psyduck.
Yeah.
She's in it too. I'm trying to remember
We'll
who
probably
plays
see more
her.
of that.
Yeah. And Ken
next.
Watanabe is in it too, it seems, which is, I mean, Ken Watanabe.
Yeah.
Fuck. That's awesome. Bill Nighy is also in it, but he was not in the trailer. But I have to say, just so far, the amount of Easter eggs that are present in it, the way that I think they chose very, very well which Pokemon to show.
Yeah.
They showed
Charizard.
some of them. They showed Charizard, Greninja,
Greninja.
Emolga, Pikachu,
the Gen
Jigglypuff.
faves.
Yeah, Jigglypuff and
Oh man, Jigglypuff looks so good.
Jigglypuff looks great, and
Me and
I think
Jigglypuff have the same haircut, and I love it.
The idea that some people were like, Jigglypuff doesn't look right with fur. I'm like, well, it was either it looked like it was fluffy or
Or a
it looked
rubber
like
ball.
a fucking testicle.
Yeah, like
let's be real.
yeah. I'm not.
Jigglypuff would have looked like a fucking toy otherwise.
Well, that's the thing. Like, of course, the Pokemon that look fluffy are gonna be fluffy. There's gonna be textures. It's not an anime.
No, exactly. This is a live-action movie with realistically textured Pokemon.
I love Mr. Mime's
Mr.
fucking
Mime-
dodgeball elbows.
Mr. Mime looks extremely scary.
Yeah,
But
it's
also,
unsettling.
Mr. Mime was always scary. Because the implications of its existence are weird.
Yeah.
Because it is a weird fucking thing.
Why does it have dodgeball elbows?
Why
I
does
hope
it have
that's
big,
explained.
big fingers with balls on the end of them? It's a strange thing.
Ladies.
Yeah, it's weird looking. It's a weird looking fucking Pokemon.
But yeah,
Scaly Charizard.
It's Scaly Charizard. I mean,
weird,
Charizard makes
weird
sense.
fleshy amphibian Greninja.
I'm fucking hype to see Eevee and any evolution.
Yep. I want to see some of those cuties. They're going to look very fluffy.
I'm gonna.
But
I want because like the thing.
and I mean, we've seen Snubble too.
Yeah, we've seen Snubble. Well,
And
we've seen the
model.
the
of
model
Snubble,
for Snubble,
who is
and it looks
very
great.
cute.
Yes,
And
Angry
I want
boy.
a pet.
I want to pet him.
Of him. Yeah. This is definitely. I think more so than even the games. This has made me want a Pokemon as a pet.
Yeah.
These are some super cute little guys.
Yeah.
And
I like
yeah.
I like every Pokemon they've shown. Like you've got a bunch of like background ones.
Yeah, Emolga
And
was in the back.
they
I saw
all
an
look
Emolga.
good.
I saw a bunch of weirdos back there. And I mean, just the amount of Easter eggs within the trailer, the little kind of details,
Yeah.
like the names of the cities kind of being meaningful. Like they say Rhyme City. Why is it Rhyme City? Because Pokemon and humans there are living in such harmony that it's almost as if they rhyme. You
Yeah.
know? That they just go together like a good rhyme. And there's the town that Justice Smith is from. If you look on the train ticket, has kind of a punny name that kind of seems like it's like this is the starting town kind of.
Okay.
name for
Yeah.
it. It's
like
cute.
Pallet Town.
Yeah, Palette Town in a world full of colors.
Yeah.
Palette Town is the palette, right?
Yeah.
We've seen Venusaurs.
Yeah.
And Bulbasaurs as well. Greninja. Just a bunch of cuties.
I'm fucking hype.
I think
I think it's gonna be good. Honestly,
I think it will be too.
the initial watch of the trailer was, "What the fuck is this?" And after watching it like 5 times, I'm like, you know what?
This looks awesome.
I'm gonna go see it.
I think I was sold from the moment I saw it because it's so much better than it could have been.
Yeah.
You know that I I'm not going to say I didn't expect much because I thought the cast was very impressive. And I'm like, if they're getting this cast behind it, they must have confidence in the movie.
Yeah.
But they really seem to have fucking confidence
My
in
problem with the cast and this being a video game movie is that Mila Jovovich isn't in it.
Oh, shit. Want to get on that?
So, well, I don't want to spend too long on it because we haven't really seen all that much.
But
essentially,
Paul W.S. Anderson.
Yeah.
The
Paul
great,
W.S.
the
Anderson
great English director with
shared
much cinematic
pictures
pedigree.
Of, I guess, a set piece or
Paul W.S. Anderson of Resident Evil movies fame, of Pompeii fame. If you remember,
he's ruining another one of my favorite video games.
Yeah.
With the movie, it was just people in army fatigues, on a truck. And he was like, "Hey, Monster Hunter."
Like, "This is Monster Hunter."
And like, have you ever
My wife
played?
Mila Jovovich
But like,
is in it and
yeah,
the military.
look at her. Wow, she's so hot. I'm gonna go jerk off in this corner to my wife.
To your wife, who you could fuck at any point.
Yeah,
but
no, but I just want to look at pictures of her in this corner.
Paul W.S. Anderson is a hack director.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say that I don't enjoy the Resident Evil films as camp, because they are camp entertainment.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I've watched them so many times, I almost know some of the scripts by heart, but I hate them. They're not Resident Evil movies.
I don't want a Paul W.S. Anderson fantasy film, especially a Monhan movie.
I'm super... Like, it's going to be a train wreck. I'm going to watch it twice.
Yeah.
I'm going to hate it. I'm going to watch it twice and be like, that's what's wrong with it. That I fucking hate. Like, I don't know how they're going to get Palcos in there. Yeah. I don't know how good the CG is going to look. Yeah, they're going to have to be. They have to be.
He said there were.
It's good.
So he called them Palico.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he said there is Palico in the movie.
Yes, I have many a Palico in the fridge.
Yeah.
Have one, my friend.
A delicious Palico.
But yeah, I don't want to spend too much time on that because it enrages me.
There's not much detail.
Yeah, there's not much detail to go off of either. So right now it's just kind of a fuck you, Paul W.S. Anderson, out of a historical rage.
It's a weird,
it could
time
still
for
be
movies.
Fun, which is the best thing that the movie's got. It's not going to be good. There's no way in hell this movie's going to be good.
Compared to Detective Pikachu, this is going to look like a monumental crock of shit.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to look like how Venom looks next to contemporary superhero movies.
I can't wait. I didn't even get to see Venom yet.
How do I say? Venom is...
Good cop,
bad
cop.
A movie straight out of the year 2003. This is going to feel the same way.
Yeah.
Like, Detective Pikachu, if it goes well, could be the first in a new line of, like, actually good video game movies.
Yeah.
Like, people will see that, yeah, you can put money behind these and people will see them and
just
like
don't
them.
make it so much about the video game.
Yeah,
make it about the world of the video game.
Which
okay, Detective Pikachu is a fucking video game too, but it's a spin-off.
But yeah,
it's not a mainline. Like,
it's
I gotta
not a
be the best
Pokemon
trainer.
RPG. Yeah, the story isn't one about somebody trying to be the best. It's a human story about a boy trying to find his father who's gone missing.
Yeah,
and he does it with the help of a talking Pikachu,
who is a detective.
Yeah.
Oh man, I saw someone fucking do a stupid write-up where they were like, fuck Detective Pikachu because it's a cop and blah blah blah, like doing the whole fucking joke ACAB thing, and I was like, but Detective's a PI. He's a PI.
Yeah.
He doesn't work for the police force.
TBH, yes, ACAB, ACAB for life.
Yeah, no, for sure. But he's a PI.
But he's not a fucking cop.
He's a fucking PI. Anyway, that was my main, like, a huge paragraph of, like,
what do you want about the same person who said, fuck Detective Pikachu, he's a cop, is also playing, like, Spider-Man PS4 and going, yeah, Spider-Man. And I'm like, yeah, Spider-Cop.
Yeah,
like,
Spider-Cop.
So you know what? Fuck y'all, you hypocritical leftists. Just like...
Fuck us too.
Fuck us too, we're also hypocritical leftists. But also, PIs aren't cops. Fuck you.
No.
He's also an animal and not part of an institution of authority.
Yeah, he doesn't have a badge. That was my whole thing, was like, where's his badge? Yeah. Anyway.
You saying they deputized the Pokemon?
Yeah.
Really? You fucking kidding me?
Especially Ryan Reynolds.
Especially the way that Pokemon are used in the Pokemon are used in the world of Pokemon with police force as like weapons for the law enforcement to employ.
Yeah.
Like the law enforcement all have like, here's our government appointed fucking like shinks or whatever. Or here's our government appointed Growlithe, because it seems like they all have Growlithe.
Yeah, Growlithe's there's a cop. Anyway.
Growlithe is cops. That's our Pokemon cop take. But yeah, I mean, it's been a rough week in terms of just news. So much has come out. There's so much to talk about, and I think we talked about
Everything.
a lot of it. Pretty
Yeah.
much everything we could think of. I don't
I'm
even.
trying to see if there's any more.
I don't
little
think next week is
scraps
going
of
to be
news.
as full.
No, we
But-
gotta actually play video games and watch more
Yeah,
shit.
I'm gonna play some fucking video games. But this has been a really interesting just first 3 days of the week so
Yeah.
far. I mean, holy.
Just
fuck.
Monday alone was a
Monday
goddamn
alone,
full
yeah.
podcast almost.
It was crazy. Like we could have filled a whole podcast with both of those subjects.
Yep.
And we filled managed about 20 minutes each. So, yeah.
Which I'm surprised.
I gotta say, really, really impressed with Detective Pikachu. R.I.P. Stan Lee. You're a controversial figure, but you deserve to rest well.
Yeah,
You know, it's been an interesting time.
you worked.
Yeah, he
You
worked.
done your work.
All I can say is I want to know what region Rhyme City is in.
Yeah, I hope.
Probably Unova.
Do you think this is gonna make a spin-off game?
A Detective Pikachu, the movie, the game.
Like
I don't-
Street Fighter, the movie, the Street Fighter.
I don't know.
The
I
Street
don't.
Fighter movie.
I
Street
don't
Fighter.
think Nintendo would do that.
No, me neither.
Because also Nintendo are like.
But I meant, like-
making this movie enough is a risk. I don't think they'd risk making a time.
I don't really mean like make a whole new game. My brain kind of farted. I meant like, do you think this is a region that they will introduce in a game that might have nods to the movie?
I don't think so, because if you think about let's talk Pokemon world building for a second. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's one of my favorite things about the series.
Because it makes no sense.
Well,
It makes
a
kinda
marginal
sense.
amount
Yeah.
of sense. The Pokemon world, right? There's kind of the two dimensions to it. There's the regions that kind of are present in the mainstream Pokemon games, which are Kanto
Yeah.
and Johto, Sinnoh, Hoenn, Unova, Alola, all of these regions, and Kalos.
Yeah.
All of these regions, of course, a lot of them are kind of intentionally analogous to real-world locations. So the Pokemon world is, in a lot of ways, kind of analogous to our own.
Yeah.
But then the other regions that kind of that are kind of outside of it are different. There's a lot to be said about the way these regions are organized. What kind of governments do they have? Are they
Yeah.
like different countries? Are regions countries, or are they states? You know, are Johto and Kanto part of the same country? Are they states in a country? You know, is Sinnoh, Kanto, Johto, and Hoenn part of like Pokemon's version of Japan?
Yeah. I
Are
guess.
they regions in the way that?
Yeah, I guess the world needs to be.
Are they regions in the way that the Kyushu and Hokkaido and general Kanto region, the real life Kanto region, are they just analogous to those places? Is Unova just analogous to New York City? You know. But there's a lot to be said. Is Kalos just France?
Yeah.
It is just France.
But is it just
Yeah.
France?
There's-
Yeah.
So the Pokemon world it's another dimension. It's very different from our own world, but similar in a lot of
Yeah.
ways. And
Well, I guess
begs the
trying to
question.
apply our world to that would be fucking stupid anyway.
Exactly.
You know? Like,
And there's a lot of different regions in like the spin-off games and in the anime.
Yeah.
But I think the anime is kind of a separate canon from the games.
yeah, at this point.
At this point, it definitely is, because there's a whole bunch of shit that just doesn't make sense in the anime
No.
that they would never talk about in the game. But like, there's a lot of interesting regions in like the spin-off games. There's Ouray and Pokemon Coliseum and Pokemon XD,
Yeah.
which is basically like it's meant to be kind of like the desert states of the United States, but it's also weird and has like a big volcano and a jungle and like a whole bunch of weird shit in it, but it's also Arizona, Texas, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And there's all the weird regions in Pokemon Ranger, which are like based on their names and kind of some of the stuff in it are kind of like European-ish,
Yeah.
like Fiore, and then there's Almia, which is kind of also European-ish, and then there's the islands and one of the other ones. I think it's Pokemon Rangers, like Star Signs or something like that. And that one has like a region that's analogous to Hawaii, but
Yeah.
also Alola is analogous to Hawaii, much more so than that other place. So it's interesting.
It's got bits and pieces of everywhere, a little bit of everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. So
Because
Pokemon's a weird
Yeah.
world, and it trying to make sense of its fictional geography is kind of like a galaxy brain task.
it's like trying to figure out the Simpson house layout.
Yeah, like there's
There's
no
no
reason
point.
to.
Yeah.
It's stupid to even imagine that you could. But It's interesting.
They release a canon world map and they're all just clumped in a ball like
That's
Pangea.
kind of what that's kind of what a lot of people I think assume probably.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's safe to say that we know one thing for certain, that Kanto and Johto are right next to each other.
Yeah.
And that north of them is Sinnoh. That is what we know.
Everything else
we
is
can kind
question
of guess
marks.
that Hoenn is probably south of them.
Yeah.
Because it's a little more of a tropical climate.
Somewhere near the quote unquote equator.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of a subtropical almost kind of location. Just kind of Kyushu is a lot more tropical than the rest of Japan.
Yeah.
But for the most part, like, I mean, they say Unova and Kalos are far away from the other one, so it's pretty certain to say that Unova is fairly analogous to the United States and Kalos is fairly analogous to France.
Mm-hmm.
And the same can be said for Alola, which is, it's fairly, if not directly, analogous to Hawaii.
Yeah.
And
I'd say
pretty much it's just
spot
Hawaii.
on, yeah.
So it's wherever Hawaii would be.
Yeah.
You know? Does that mean that it's part of the same quote-unquote country as Unova? And Ore maybe too, since Ore is very American-esque? Maybe. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not.
Mm-hmm.
But the fictional geography of the Pokemon universe is very weird and complicated, and it's not very...
cemented.
It's not, yeah, exactly. It's not concrete. Nothing
Yeah.
about it is concrete. But all I know is that I like this world. It's cool. I want to see more of it, and I would
Detective
love for them
Pikachu
to
will
do
fucking
it.
permit that.
Yeah, exactly. This is I think our first real proper opportunity to understand the geography of the Pokemon universe on a one-to-one human level.
Yeah.
Right?
Which I feel the movie won't go into too much.
Probably not, but I think there's a great deal of world building that can be done. It seems like a lot of the stuff takes place in Rhyme City.
Yeah.
But they seem to go outside of it, which means there
which
are
would
roots.
make sense if his dad's missing. It's not going to be inside a like densely populated city.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anyway. I guess it remains to be seen what
Yeah.
goes on and shit. But I
this
feel
is going
like,
to be a very cool movie.
yeah.
I'm interested in seeing how it goes.
I'm interested in seeing more of those Pokeboys. I love them all.
I want to see more of these weirdo Pokemon. They look cool. I just want to see what some of these guys look like in the end, you know?
Yeah. I feel like that's the main appeal at this point, too. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't care about finding your dad. What the fuck does my favorite Pokemon look like?
I want to see if Scraggy is a little wrinkly boy because I like him.
Where's Gengar? How
Does
fat
it look
is
like
he?
A ghost?
Gengar's like 6 foot
He's
something.
big. It's
He's
big
a
guy.
big boy.
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot of cool shit to be said about that movie.
Hmm.
But it has a lot of potential. Also, Bulbasaur is just a cutie.
He's so adorable.
And Psyduck's cute too. He's
Yeah.
got those kind of big, like, dumb
Big
eyes.
dumb eyes.
Dumb
Yeah.
eyes.
Psyduck, I feel, looks the most like the anime-y.
Yeah, because he's got the big dumb
Yeah.
eyes. Pikachu has... I really like Pikachu's eyes.
Hmm.
If you look at them, they have kind of a bit of brown
Just
to
like
them.
Ryan Reynolds. You get lost in him.
Ryan Reynolds is Pikachu.
Fucking terrifying.
There's that cute scene where they keep the voice actor for Pikachu from the anime in it, and Pikachu
Yeah.
goes Pika Pika,
Yeah.
and it's really cute.
Yeah.
And then
I wonder
the
how
girl
many
goes,
times
"Oh,
that's
he's so
gonna happen,
cute,
or if
Pika,
that's
Pika,
just gonna
Pika."
be a single nod.
I hope that it happens often.
Yeah,
because,
I hope it's a reoccurring punch, but not too reoccurring.
because Pika Pika is really cute,
Mhm.
and Pikachu is cute, and he's a cutie. I'm one of those people who is kind of hot and cold on Pikachu. I hate that he's kind of the face of the series,
Oh,
and
God, me too.
that he's eclipsed it. But you can't deny he's a cutie.
No, he's super
He's
cute.
a cutie
But
pie.
Eevee could have been.
Yeah, I mean,
like
Eevee was
this-
kind of supposed to be, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah. And Eevee has a lot more potential in terms of just the actual way the character works
Yeah.
than Pikachu does. But Pikachu, I guess, became the face of the series inadvertently.
Yeah.
But
Thanks,
he's a
anime.
very iconic design, and a lot about the design says a lot about what people think about Pokemon.
Yeah, of course.
Like, it is animal
Well, I
with
mean, that's why there's so many
power.
people who are like, Gen 1's the best. It's like,
Yeah,
that's all you
exactly.
watched.
It's all
that's
you
all
saw.
you've played. That's all you've ever known. Of course you think it's the best.
Exactly.
Because you're
All you've
seeing
ever
these
cared
fucking
about.
trash ones. But Gen 1 has its fucking bag full of trash designs, too.
It's got Muck, who's literally, and his name is Muck.
His
who's
name is
literally
Cum.
just sludge. Yeah, Cum backwards.
Come.
He's literally just a pile of sludge.
Yeah.
You have
Ekans is just a snake.
and his name is Snake.
Snake backwards,
And
yeah.
Arbok is
It's
literally just
Cobra.
Cobra with a K backwards.
Yeah.
Like
there's lazy designs in Gen 1
Mhm.
too. Don't even fucking start with that shit, you
there
know?
is. So it's like, whatever. Some Pokemon are weird.
Yeah.
Like, that's just how it be. You have to accept.
And that's
them.
fine.
Yeah, it's cool. I like that there's ugly Pokemon.
I want a shot in this movie down an alley, just to the brim with Trubbish.
Yeah.
Just fucking Trubbish everywhere.
That would be really cool.
I would love
I want
that.
Justice Smith to walk down an alleyway and like a Trubbish kind of looks kind of like at the corner of his eye at him as he walks by and follows him as he walks by.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool.
I want to mimic you. I want to mimic you.
Mimikyu
would be fucking
scary in
terrifying.
this. Jesus. Probably cute too. Because Mimikyu's kind of cute. Because it wants attention.
What was the metal boy from the other week?
Meltan.
Meltan,
if it is
Oh,
in it, is a
Meltan.
very strange Pokemon.
Yeah.
It's cute though.
I feel like this
Man,
is
there's
the
gonna be some
only one that
fucking
could be like,
weirdos.
yeah.
I mean, imagine the unknowns.
The unknowns will be in there.
They'll be weird.
I
They'll
don't
be
think-
very, very strange.
I don't think they'll be in there.
I don't think they will be, but just imagine them in that aesthetic. Oh, you know what would be cool? If they designed every Pokemon to have a realistic,
And just release
Aesthetic.
a list of like, even if they're not in the
just
movie,
just
the-
pictures of
yeah.
all of them and what they would look like.
that's way too much work.
It's so much work, and they would be asking an immense amount from those artists, but it would be cool.
yeah.
I'm sure we'll see a lot of artists try to tackle it in that style, the way that you see.
I mean, they already have. The whole thing is they got that one guy. I don't remember his name right now, but the guy who originally drew like realistic looking Pokemon. They got him on the movie to help out.
These.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So.
Which for reasons.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a very impressive production, and I think that all the negativity that we're seeing about it will probably subside once they actually watch the
Yeah.
movie, if they watch the movie.
Yeah. And if not, I mean, whatever. Who cares? Those people were
Who cares?
wrong.
Then
It's
this
gonna
movie-
be a
then this
good
movie
time.
Isn't for them.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Just like
'Cause
Diablo.
it's definitely for me. And I don't care if it's not for you, because it's for me.
Exactly. It's my movie. Get out of my house.
So I'm very interested in seeing what goes on. But I think that about wraps it up, eh?
Yeah. We did our weeks. We did all the news that was relevant. We dropped shit that doesn't matter. That's pretty much it for episode 4.
Yeah, I think it is.
Episode 4.
I don't think we got no questions.
Nah, we do not.
But there we go, episode 4. Just remember, I guess, to sub to us on YouTube. If you want to listen to our MP3s, you can always go to our mega folder where I upload them once I'm done editing.
You can also check us out on Facebook at GamePunx, GamePunx.
Yeah.
We got a page there.
I'm working on the Twitter right now. It's almost done.
Radical.
The problem with it is that I got age flagged by accident, so I'm just appealing to them
Oh, no.
to renew the account.
You goofball.
I know, but that'll probably be presumably done by next week.
Okay.
And so that's going to be out, and I'll put it up everywhere when it is. And of course, Ben streams on Twitch, so you can follow him at Scratch Me Silly Plays, right?
Just Scratch Me Silly.
Just
Scratch
Scratch
Me
Me
Silly
Silly.
Plays is the YouTube.
Is the YouTube, okay.
So that's SCARATCHMESILLY. All one word. I stream pretty much, like, it's been hit and miss recently. I'm trying to get back on top of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Most recently, I've been trying to do the Genocide run of Deltarune. I might jump in a Cuphead sometime
Ooh,
later this week.
Speaking of genocide.
Yeah.
Committing genocide against all these cartoons and Cuphead.
Die, you animations. I hate you.
You rubber hose looking fucks. But yeah, definitely some cool stuff this week, I think.
Yeah. We'll see what fruit next week bears.
For sure. So take it easy.
Yeah.
And fuck fascism.
Skirt. Have a good day.
Yeah, have a
Night,
good
whenever.
week. Enjoy yourselves.
See you next time.
Yeah.